888-994-6669. We love what we have here today. 2 false favorites, $100 pays back $600 if you play both on the money line. You can play them both straight up with plus the points, no problem, but that'll pay you about 2.6 to 1. But look, 8-4 on false favorites, 6 outright winners. This is college basketball. The average price is plus 180. And again, treat sports wagering as an investment. Treat it as a business. It'll pay as an investment. It'll pay as a business. Just don't do anything stupid. And that's what we're here to protect you. You know, our job, I say it all the time, the main job here is not to win. Believe it or not. You guys out there listening, be like, what do you mean your main job is not to win? No. My main job, my company's main job is to make sure you make money. Maximize profit. Minimize risk. That is our main job. So we have some big action going today. Give us a call at 888-994-6669. Everything is free on a recorded line. Also, go check out the Bet Big Talk Loud podcast. That's going to wrap up this edition of the Sports Investors Daily Radio Show. Going to end the show with the recap. Everyone out there, have a great Saturday. See you next week. All right, here we go with the recap, and this one is brought to you by TakingVegas.com and GirlsThatGamble.live. The last college basketball regular season Saturday is upon us, and we have 2 false favorites we are combining in a parlay. Call right now, 888-9-WIN-NOW. That's 888-994-6669. These 2 games in a parlay pay $600 for every 100 wagered. We're going to win both of them. We love these plays outright. Give us a call right now. They are free. They are on a recorded line at 888-9-WIN-NOW. That's 888-994-6669. We are 8-4 on false favorites this year with 6 outright winners in college basketball. 2 more go today. And if you combine them in a parlay, they pay 6 to 1 on your money. 888-9-WIN-NOW. They are both free on a recorded line. 888-994-6669. And if you're looking to turn 1,000 into 6,000, which is 3 plays, only risking your initial wager twice, get involved with our initial bankroll program. We'll tell you all about it. Give us a call at 888-994-6669.
This program was paid for by 1220 Enterprises. The opinions and views expressed are not those of local stations. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes. Use of this information in violation of any federal, state, or local laws is prohibited. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Attention! Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers, so don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-747-7676. 800-747-7676. Again, that's 800-747-7676.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM in HD1 San Francisco on Odyssey Sports Station. Always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch, and YouTube. Powered by First NorCal Credit Union. Live from downtown San Francisco, this is 95.7 The Game.
Yes, it is. Welcome in 95.7 The Game. Mark Randy with you. This is Warriors This Week on 95.7 The Game on a beautiful Saturday in San Francisco. No Evan Giddings today. No Dan Devone. So Mark Randy with you. But don't worry, I'm not riding solo. Steven Risotto behind the glass as always. What's up, Pasta? We're going to hear from him throughout the show today here on 95.7 The Game. Good morning. Happy weekend, Steven. How you doing?
Happy weekend, Grandy. We work throughout the week, and we work on the weekends.
Hell yeah.
So
yeah, we do.
We're living it up. It's a very beautiful sunny Saturday
Yeah,
in the city.
Going to be a beautiful day today in the city. Going to be a beautiful day tomorrow. A perfect weekend in San Francisco for sure. Welcome in, everybody. It is Warriors this week on 95.7 The Game. Mark Randy with you again. That's Steven Risotto behind the glass. If you want to call into the show, it will be the dulcet tones of Steven Risotto that answers the phone lines for you and helps get you on the air. You can, of course, do that at 888-957-9570. We're rocking with you until noon today as we talk all things out Warriors basketball. Of course, they're coming off of, for my money, I think the most impressive win of the season in Houston on Thursday. They were down essentially you could make a pretty darn good starting five out of the players they were missing in that game. No Steph Curry, no Jimmy Butler, no Kristaps Porzingis, no Moses Moody, no Will Richard, no GP2, no Seth Curry, and Houston relatively healthy. I know they were missing a couple of guys that they've been missing for a long time and are not going to get back for the entire season, right? Fred VanVleet tore his ACL in the offseason and is out for the entire season, has not played a single second of regular season basketball this year, and that's not going to change for the rest of the season. And then Steven Adams, who began the season playing for Houston, is also out for the year. But other than that, they were really only missing Jae'Sean Tate, and they were at home against that Warrior team, and the Warriors got it done in overtime, 115-113. So considering how bad things had felt for the Warriors a lot of late, things are feeling a little up right now after that win. And I think where we should start today here on Warriors This Week, and again, welcome in if you want to join the conversation, 888-957-9570. That's the number to call. It is also the Boxer and Gerson Work Injury Attorneys text line. You can also join the conversation, as always, on the YouTube chat, youtube.com/957 The Game. I see you, UCF. I see you, iSub. I see a few others chiming in as well. Basketball Squad, keep the comments coming on the YouTube chat, youtube.com/957 The Game. UC, I guess I said UCF. UC Fanatic says put Risotto on the screen. We should do that. Maybe we can work on that during a break. We absolutely should get Pasta on the screen if possible. We'll work on that. But where I want to start today here on Warriors This Week is, obviously, we got OKC coming up today. Warriors, I think, kind of have already held serve on this road trip, 3-game trip in Houston, in OKC today, and then in Utah on Monday. I think most people would say the Warriors should aim to go 1-2 on this trip, and most people were probably predicting a loss to Houston, a loss to OKC, and the win in Utah. The Warriors now have a pretty darn good chance to go 2-1 on this road trip, which would be, I think, better than most could have possibly expected. I think on the day of that Houston game on Thursday, one thing that Willard and Dibs does, our afternoon show here on 95.7 The Game, is they put out a Warriors-related poll question every day of every weekday Warrior game. And the poll question for that Houston game was, what do you think the Warriors' record will be on this 3-game road trip? And far and away, the two most popular options were 1-2 and 0-3. So the fact that the Warriors already have a win and they have 2 games left, including a game versus a Utah team that is actively trying to lose, and at this point has ruled out all of their key players for the rest of the season, despite the fact that the NBA has fined them for tanking already this season, they're not interested in winning. So you feel at least confident about your ability to potentially win that basketball game, which would make this a 2-1 trip at the very worst, no matter what happens today. And I think would qualify this as a very successful road trip. There is also the possibility that the Warriors get some players back as early as today in OKC. The Thunder tip-off versus the Warriors at 5:30 today. That means Warriors Live begins at 4:30 here on 95.7 The Game. I'll be with you for that on Warriors Live beginning at 4:30, but this is going to be a really tough game against OKC. OKC hasn't been as smooth as they were last year or as smooth as they've been early in the season. SGA, the reigning MVP, is back, and he's playing really well once again, but he was out for a bit. Jalen Williams out of Santa Clara, not Jalen Williams from Arkansas, but J-Dub, as they call him, who was an all-star, first-time all-star last year, and probably you would say the second best player on a championship team a year ago. He was really good in the playoffs. He has hardly even played this season, and they haven't been quite as good as they were last year. Now, I say that, and they're still 49-15, and they have a 2.5 game lead over the Spurs for first place in the Western Conference. But there was talk early in the season, if you remember, about they might be able to break the Warriors' record of 73 wins. That was the conversation about OKC way back when. They were at one point 24-1. They had won 24 of their first 25 games. And since then, they haven't been bad by any stretch. But, right, they've been, since going 24-1, and now they are 49-15. That means they're 25-14 in their, last 39 games? So in less than half of a season, they've lost a handful more games than the Warriors lost that entire season when they went 73-9. I'm not here to tell you that OKC is a bad basketball team. I'm just saying how difficult it is to do what they did to begin this season over the stretch of a full 82-game season. It's why, especially the way that the game is going right now with load management and with, frankly, tanking, although, of course, a good team is never going to tank, but with the benefit that comes from holding players out of games, especially when you are leading a conference and there isn't a whole lot of incentive for you to continue to win at an incredibly high pace, and teams wanting to go into the postseason feeling a little bit more rested, I don't think the Warriors' 73-9 regular season mark is ever going to get broken. The Warriors doing that is, in my opinion, an unbreakable record because of the way basketball is headed. I'm seeing some comments come in on the YouTube chat right now, youtube.com/957thegame, that the NBA is in a sad state. AUS writing that, AUS writing that on our YouTube chat, youtube.com/957thegame. And yeah, part of that is the tanking, which I think is what you were referring to, but some of that also is the way that teams value the regular season. And I don't know if there's ever going to be another situation where a team values the regular season as much as those 2016-2017 Warriors did when they went 73-9. And of course, we remember what happened in the playoffs that year. Not that the Warriors, flat out failed. Like, they made it to the finals and they went all the way to Game 7, but Steph was banged up in those playoffs. They had to come back from an epic 3-1 deficit against OKC just to make the finals. And then, of course, they blew a 3-1 lead in the finals to LeBron and the Cavs. And a big part of that is probably because the Warriors expended so much energy going 73-9 to be in the regular season and chasing that record, for the entire regular season, and specifically when you get to this point of the season. Because if you remember, San Antonio was really, really good that year, but it's not as if the Warriors felt like they had to win all of those games. They had to win 73 games just to claim the 1 seed in the Western Conference. No, there was a pretty decent gap between the Warriors and everybody else, and they could have taken their foot off the pedal if they wanted, but they wanted that record, and it might have cost them. Anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent. The point is, OKC's hasn't been as smooth this season, and I think it is a testament to just exactly what that Warriors team did way back when. Does not mean that OKC today is not going to be a challenge for the Warriors. Of course it is. The MVP is back. Even without Jalen Williams, J-Dub from Santa Clara, they've got Chet Holmgren. And then they got so many key bench pieces, just 3-and-D wings. It seems like they're drowning in 3-and-D wings while the rest of the league is left wanting them. Hartenstein, their big, is really, really good as well. They're a really, really good basketball team, and they're probably, one of the top 3, most people's probably favorites to still win it all, but a top 3 pick, I think, to win the NBA championship again this season and potentially go back-to-back. So today's going to be a real challenge, but for the Warriors, because of what you did on Thursday in Houston, this one becomes a little less important. And I think as we move forward for this Warriors season, and I want to hear from all you guys at 888-957-9570, just in terms of the rest of the regular season. What are fair expectations for the Warriors? The Warriors are 62 games in. They're 32-30 right now. 32-30, 62 games in. That means there's 20 games left for the Warriors. What do you expect for these final 20 games? And I think for Warrior fans, we were talking about this just a little bit earlier before I got off on that 73-9 tangent. There's been a lot of negativity around the Warriors right now. And, of course, a lot of it is because of what's happening in the wins and loss column, right? There has been more losses of late than wins. They had just lost 2 games in a row. They were, before the Houston game on Thursday, 1-3 in their previous 4. They were 2-5 in their previous 7. They hadn't won consecutive games since Jimmy Butler went down with the torn ACL. Now, they also haven't lost 3 games in a row since then, but it's kind of been win, 2 loss, win, 2 loss, win, 2 loss, has kind of been the Warriors' pattern of late. Not exactly, but it's been that way. So essentially, you're going kind of 1-2 in every 3-game stretch. And the Warriors have been falling out of a spot where they can realistically, potentially climb anywhere in the standings. So I think what we have to do as Warrior fans is kind of adjust what we expect going forward, because so much of what's happening is beyond their control. It's the injuries to Steph and to Jimmy, of course, and what's happening with Porzingis. Now, you might say, well, Grandy, that was in their control. They were the team that willingly acquired Kristaps Porzingis, and you're absolutely right. And Mike Dunleavy was on with Willard and Dibbs yesterday on this very station and talked about everything, including the Porzingis trade. We're going to hear from Mike, Warriors general manager Mike Dunleavy, before the show was over today. So if you missed it, just stay there. We're going to get to it. But ever since they got him, what has happened to him has been out of his control. The injury to Jimmy Butler, out of their control. And now I know you could say, well, that's what happens when you rely so heavily on multiple players age 35 and up. And you're absolutely right. I'm not here to tell you that the Warriors are without blame for how this season has gone. Now, the Jimmy Butler acquisition also turned around last season, so there is a give and a take here. The Steph Curry injury is an unfortunate one as well. It felt like a minor knee thing that was bothering him in Minnesota all the way back at the end of January, right after Jimmy tore his ACL on January 19th, really like a week after that. It cost him a game, but then he came back and played, and then the All-Star break came, and then he played in that January 20th game against Toronto, did not play in Dallas where Jonathan Kuminga hurt his knee, right? And then they had the craziness of what was going on in Minneapolis. Game was postponed, and then you get towards the All-Star break, and it was the expectation, I think, for a lot was that Steph was going to come back and play right out of the All-Star break. They played against Detroit on January 30th. That was the last game that he played. And then you lose to Philadelphia, you win in Phoenix, you lose to the Lakers in LA, you beat Memphis, and then you lose to San Antonio, and then you head to the All-Star break. And the expectation was 8 days later, they had 8 days between games, the 11th of February and the 19th of February with the All-Star break in between. The expectation, and maybe this was just a false expectation, but a lot of people felt, myself included, Steph was going to be back to begin the second half of the season, or at least soon thereafter. Well, we are now multiple weeks removed from that, and Steph still has not yet returned, and Steph is not going to play today. He's not going to play on Monday, and he's not going to play on Tuesday when they return home to take on the Chicago Bulls either. So this has become an extended absence, and one that has lasted a whole lot longer than at least most people outside of the organization has felt. Maybe the Warriors inside the organization have felt for quite a while this was going to be something that was a little bit longer than everyone else thought, although there was also a report from Mark Spears of ESPN that Steph Curry suffered a setback during the All-Star break. Steph has gone on record as recently as last weekend, a week ago, on that ESPN ABC broadcast against the Lakers of saying that he hasn't done any on-court work since he went down with the injury and since he last played versus Detroit over a month ago now on January 30th. So a lot of this is out of their control. Now, it does not mean I don't understand the frustration. I myself have been very frustrated. I mean, you just look at what has happened for the Warriors over the last, 7 weeks now? When you go back to when Jimmy Butler tore his ACL, that was against Miami on January 19th. Think of everything that has happened since Jimmy Butler tore his ACL. Of course, first of all, he tears his ACL, but the context of when he tore his ACL also matters. The Warriors were playing their best basketball of the entire season. They had just won 4 games in a row. They were 12-4 in their last 16 games. They were a season high 6 games over 500. The potential of them actually climbing out of the play-in, I don't think had ever been higher than in that exact moment. And then Jimmy goes down with a torn ACL. And since then, they are 7-11 in 18 games played since Jimmy Butler went down, which honestly isn't all that terrible. They have done a pretty good job of treading water, and so many of those games are also without Steph. But you just look at what has happened. Jimmy goes down with the torn ACL. And then you have the initial kind of acceptance that your season might be over because they follow it up by getting blown out at home by Toronto. Then in Dallas, you lose that game. And Kuminga, has a really good performance against Toronto, looks really good early against Dallas, and then he hyperextends his knee, and that turned out to be the last moment we saw Jonathan Kuminga play basketball for the Warriors. But you kind of get over the initial acceptance of, oh my God, the season is probably over. And then the excitement builds back up because you have the trade deadline, which was in early February, on Thursday, the 5th of February, if memory serves, that evening. And yeah, it was on that Thursday. And what happened the week leading up to that, and really longer than that, was, oh my God, the Warriors might get Giannis. Everyone in the know in the NBA, everyone that knows anything about how these things works was reporting, well, if Giannis gets moved before the deadline, the likeliest scenario is he comes to the Warriors. And after you just got over dealing with the emotional reaction to Jimmy Butler's ACL tear, you start thinking, oh my God, Giannis is going to come here and pair him up with Steph. Not only does that make next year and 2 years from now more exciting, it also means they might have a chance to actually do something this season. Could you imagine? And you get excited again. And then what happens? Giannis doesn't get traded at all, and it kind of looks like it was some crazy ploy because the Kalshi odds where you can trade on outcomes of sporting events, you can also trade on whether Giannis is going to be traded or what team he's going to play for the rest of the season. And those odds dramatically changed in favor of the Warriors. Then the trade deadline passes, Giannis stays a buck, and Giannis announces he's becoming a Kalshi partner. It all just seems incredibly fishy, and that's just part of it. And then after that, Steph's injury happens, and it actually turns out to be a whole lot more serious than you expected. Yes, Bonte. And I also missed what else happened at the trade deadline, because then you trade Jonathan Kuminga, which understandable. I think most people got why that had to happen, even if you were unhappy with the return. And you got Kristaps Porzingis back, which was, I would say, at best intriguing, because a healthy Porzingis absolutely fits. I don't think Steve Kerr has ever really had a 7-footer of Porzingis' capabilities other than Kevin Durant, but he's like the unicorn of all unicorns, so that's not even fair to throw into that bucket. Intriguing to get him back. But then what happens after the trade deadline and these guys start playing for their new teams? Jonathan Kuminga looks awesome. He's averaging like 20-plus points per game on 70% from the field. Got gigantic smiles on his face. And Porzingis makes his debut and shows a couple of things, but hasn't played since. It's just been terrible, terrible, terrible news for the Warriors, one after another for the last 6 or 7 weeks. So things are not great in Warrior world right now. That win in Houston on Thursday kind of was a palate cleanser. It was a really important win as you look at the standings, but I do think as we move forward, and maybe this is like a defense mechanism for me in order to avoid like another emotional crash out, because that kind of has been what's happened over the last 7 weeks, dealing with everything happening with this Warriors organization right now. You have to adjust your expectations for the rest of the season. And again, that's where I want to begin. We need to adjust what we are expecting from this Warrior team. And maybe you say that's a cop-out, and maybe you say that's loser mentality. No, it's just being realistic. Does not change the fact that I want this team to win a championship. Does not change that I am incredibly frustrated. They have not done a little more, not specifically this season necessarily, but over the course of the last 3 or 4 years, to help Steph and to try to win as many games as possible and win championships. But we can look at the reality of what this team is right now, and I think we can collectively come to a new agreement about what the expectations are. And I'll give you some numbers on that here in just a sec. Before we do, though, let's go out to the phone lines at 888-957-9570. This is Warriors This Week here on 95.7 The Game. Mark Randy with you until noon. We've also got Steven Risotto in the back. I want to ask Pasta about his expectations as well. We'll get to that in a sec. First, though, Matt in the city who wants to weigh in. What's up, Matt? You're on Warriors This Week on 95.7 The Game.
Hey, Mark, thanks for taking my call. I just want to say, for me personally, the most frustrating thing about this year, beyond not getting Giannis and not, Jimmy injury and all that, is probably in the Porzingis, misfire. I think it's the lack of Steve Kerr using kind of a sensible lineup. We saw on the Houston game, when I saw that lineup, when I heard that lineup announced, I was like excited. Oh, this is good. But when I see Draymond at center, that's almost I'm almost expecting a loss, and I'm right more times than not. So I don't know why it took 62 games to get this type of a lineup, and that's been my frustration. Think a lot. We should probably be at least another 3 to 5 games ahead in the loss column. There's a lot of games that we lost less than 8 points, where I thought we just went too small and we just conceded too many points. And there were just these 30 or 40-point quarters that we gave up that made it very hard for us to come back in those games. And a lot of it stemmed from going too small. Now, I understand the whole switchability and read and react and all that, and there's certain players that are conducive to success in that type of system. But I really think Guy Santos at the 3 is a very switchable player at both ends. And, that's just my thought on it. And that's one of my frustrations. And this goes back to last year as well, because I still recall one game where, I guess it was Portland, and Steve Kerr actually put Kevon Looney and Trayce Jackson-Davis together in the fourth quarter of a game against Portland that was very tight. And we actually pulled that through because we needed that size in that juncture to get through the size of the Portland at that time. But those sort of instances have been so few in between, and not going to a more conventional lineup, I think, hurts this team, and Steve Kerr's stubbornness to kind of go to a more conventional lineup, I think, hurts the Warriors. And that's been my frustration for this year.
Yeah, Matt, I appreciate the call. I think you make a lot of fair points. It was something I circled on Thursday as well, once the Warriors announced their starting lineup, which was Podziemski, Melton, and then Guy, Draymond, and Al Horford. I noticed the same thing you did, Matt. I was like, wow, that's almost as big as the Warriors can go in terms of a starting 5, and particularly, 3 through 5. Guy down to the 3. He normally plays the 4, and he's played some small ball 5 as well at times this season. But Guy at the 3, Draymond at the 4, and Al at the 5. That is about as big as the Warriors can realistically be. Now, you're going against Houston, and I would imagine some of that from Steve Kerr and the Warriors coaching staff was to match Houston's height. Houston is as big as you can possibly be in the NBA. It's not only just Jabari Smith, Kevin Durant, and Alperen Şengün, 3 7-footers essentially, but they also don't have a point guard. They start Amen Thompson, a wing, at point guard, and they also have Tari Eason in their starting lineup. And those are long, lanky, athletic wings that are playing the point guard and shooting guard spot, and you have 3 7-footers. So some of that might have been a reaction to what Houston is, and as a result of the Warriors going bigger than usual, they were very competitive on the glass, only got out-rebounded by 2. Against Houston, they were out-rebounded a lot in the first half, but they honestly controlled the boards in the second half. So maybe some of it was a reaction to what Houston is. And as Chris A. on YouTube mentions, youtube.com/957thegame, Steven Adams out for the season for Houston as well. And they could be even bigger. We saw Steven Adams along with Şengün and Jabari Smith on the floor together at times for Houston last year in the playoffs versus this Warrior team. Now, Kevin Durant isn't like your prototypical big or 7-footer, but he is essentially a 7-footer, and he gives them a lot of length and size as well that is difficult to contend with. So they have, they kind of force you to be bigger, But it did work for the Warriors yesterday. It absolutely, on Thursday. And I will be interested to see what they do today because Oklahoma City is nowhere near as big, but they can go double big, and they will go double big with Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren. So how do the Warriors combat that? There is a chance that we see Kristaps Porzingis, by the way. He is questionable for the Warriors game today. We're going to talk more about the rest of the Warriors injury report for today's game in OKC because there's a chance that you have a couple of Warriors players that have not played in a while that return today. We'll talk about that. Plus, I do want to get expectations for the rest of the season for the Warriors because I'm going to read you some numbers that I think should pretty much set in stone what you expect this Warrior team to be the rest of the year and what we can realistically hope for when it comes to playoff positioning. So we'll do that. I want to hear what Pasta has to say about expectations. Plus, we got some phone calls to get to you. I see you, Jimmy. I see you, Mitch. We'll get to you when we come back. This is Warriors This Week on 95.7 The Game. Plus, we will hear from GM Mike Dunleavy, who joined Willard and Dibbs yesterday. All that and more coming up as we continue. Mark Randy with you. Warriors This Week continues next on 95.7 The Game.
This is the story of the one. As a procurement manager for a hospital system, she keeps every facility in her network stocked and ready. That's why she counts on Grainger to be her single source for thousands of products, from disinfectants to lighting, air filters, and more. And with fast, dependable delivery, Grainger helps her keep every facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
We've all been there, sleepless nights, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters. At Bay Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can rest easy knowing we're here for you. BayAlarm.com.
Today.
Driver, start your engine!
The NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series screams into action only on the CW.
Let's go!
It's pure raw racing where chaos strikes without warning.
Oh! Big crash!
And where nothing is promised, not even next week.
We don't have a lot of chances to win. That's what's frustrating.
The NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series.
From Phoenix today at 3:30 p.m. on KRON 4, the CW.
Xfinity Tech Support, Matthew speaking.
Hi, I live in a pretty remote place, like Jurassic Park remote.
Wow.
Will Xfinity Mobile work out here?
Yep, the combination of reliable Wi-Fi and 5G makes it so that you can stay connected in all kinds of places. Plus, you get access to ultra-fast speeds and coverage, whether you're poolside or out live streaming with a T-Rex.
Hold still, you're about to go viral.
Welcome to a new era of Wi-Fi boosted mobile. Cut your mobile bill in half with 2 lines of unlimited. Discover a new era of Wi-Fi boosted mobile at XfinityMobile.com. Xfinity. Imagine that. Watch Jurassic Park with Xfinity. Savings comparison based on promotional rate for 2 lines of Xfinity Mobile Unlimited versus 2 lines of T-Mobile Experience More, Verizon Unlimited Plus, and AT&T Starter as of February 10th, 2026.
All right, I need avocados, bananas, salad, steak.
Wow, does your grocery list have multiple pages?
No, but I skipped lunch, so now it's like my stomach is doing the grocery shopping. And besides, I'm earning cash back with Upside.
Upside? What's that?
Hold up, you haven't heard of it? Upside is a free app that gets you cash back when you shop at gas stations, grocery stores, and restaurants. And they added Lucky and Food Max stores, so we're pretty much covered wherever we go.
All those stores?
Yep, so not only are we getting a great deal on groceries, now we can earn cash back as well.
Okay, downloading Upside. Now let me copy your grocery list.
Great news! Lucky and Food Max are now on Upside. Download the Upside app and use the promo code SAVE9 to earn a 10% cashback bonus on your first grocery purchase. That's promo code SAVE9 for a 10% cashback bonus. Use promo code SAVE9.
Offers vary by user and location at participating merchants. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions.
Hop into spring fun at History San Jose's Spring Extravaganza on Saturday, March 28th from 11 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Join us for egg hunts, exciting crafts from around the world, face painting, balloon artists, and of course, photos with the Easter Bunny. Rain or shine, the fun goes on at History Park. Egg hunt tickets are limited. Grab yours today by visiting historysanjose.org.
Hey, life doesn't give you a warning when everything changes. It starts with shock, confusion, and 1,000 questions running through your mind. Maybe it's a car accident, a serious injury, or a tragedy that changes your family forever. Suddenly, you're dealing with insurance companies' paperwork and pressure, all while trying to heal. That's where Beam Law comes in. They take on the legal fight, the negotiations, and the stress so you can focus on recovery and taking care of the people who matter most. Beam Law is local, and they've recovered millions for clients across the region. That's why SF Weekly has named them Best of the Bay 4 times. So if you've been hurt or lost someone because of someone else's negligence, call Beam Law at 415-523-5555, 415-523-5555. That's 415-523-5555. Or visit hurtinthebay.com. That's hurtinthebay.com, because it's not whether you get knocked down, it's whether you get back up. Beam Law. They've got your back, Bay Area.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-9834. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-9834. That's 800-575-9834. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Join 95.7 The Game in celebrating Women's History Month at Women's Heritage Day, March 7th at History Park in San Jose. Don't miss this free family-friendly event. Brought to you by History San Jose, Mosaic America, and Chicana Alianza for Liberatory Engagement. For more info, visit 957thegame.com.
Goes on through. Shot clock at 7. Melton turns. Drives on Shepard. Spins in the paint. Pumping. Goes up. It's up. No good. Tip. No good. Tipped in by Melton. Warriors lead by 3. 5.3 to go. 115 to 112. Melton took Shepard off the dribble. Got to the rim. Missed it. Santos with a tip. That was no good. Melton got it back again.
I think you're the GOAT. I think you kill it every single day. Keep doing what you do. You're the man. You know how to get it done.
Now back to Warriors This Week on 95.7 The Game.
Oh, thanks for that, Steven. Steven Risotto behind the glass, a.k.a. Pasta. You're probably known exclusively as Pasta this time of the week. Saturday mornings.
That's where the name originated.
That's where it originated.
That's where it originated.
So you're mostly known as Pasta around the station. I call you Steve. I call you Steven. I call you Risotto. I call you Pasta. I don't know what is like the top of my personal list, but I would imagine on this show you're almost exclusively referred to as Pasta. So I'll call you Pasta at least for the next 2.5 hours. This is Warriors This Week on 95.7 The Game. I'm Mark Grandy. I know you're used to hearing Evan Giddings and Dan Devone, both unavailable today. I know, I don't know where Dan is. I know Evan's down on a quick little extended weekend trip watching some tennis down at Indian Wells. Honestly, I'm a little jealous. I'm sure it's very warm down there, and I would not mind watching some professional tennis. But I also love hanging out with you guys here on Warriors This Week. 888-957-9570 if you want to weigh in. That's the number to call. It is also the Boxer and Gerson Work Injury Attorneys text line, plus the YouTube chat is up and rolling as always. YouTube.com/957 The Game. I was chatting with a couple of people on the YouTube chat during the commercial break, and I was asked by Chico. Chico State asked me if I'm doing pre and post for the Warrior game tonight, and yes, I am. So you're going to get a double dose of Grandy today. 9 to noon here for Warriors This Week, and then also beginning at 4:30 with Warriors Live ahead of Dubs versus Thunder. So we got that coming up. I'm looking forward for the rest of this show, though, because I've been informed by Pasta that we have a mystery guest coming up in an hour. So at 10:30, there is a mystery guest, and Steve and I, or Pasta, I know you have done this at times in the past on this show. not while I've been filling in, so I don't know exactly how it works. It's going to be up to me to talk to the person without asking their name and try to figure out who it is. Is that right?
That's right. You got to just, fire some questions at them, maybe some yes or no questions. We tried it with Dan and Evan probably a few weeks ago, maybe at the beginning of the season, and they guessed Kevin Dana right away, almost suspiciously right away. So
maybe they were tipped off. I don't know.
There's no way they would have known. With you, see, I trust you. I know that you're going to go along with it. And you're going to give your best effort. But somebody looked at the area code or something with Dana because they got it way too quick.
You got to play along. You got to play the game. No cheating allowed. I just hope I do know relatively quickly, because if I don't, depending on who the mystery guest is, I don't want to embarrass the mystery guest, because if I don't know who it is, that might not be a very good look.
Well, that would be me embarrassing you, and I told you before the show that I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't put you on a spot where we have on some random G Leaguer. So
random G
Leaguer. It will not be a random G Leaguer or
it's
the person's random, but
it's not going to be Nate Williams on the Warriors.
Not Nate Williams, nope.
Who I don't know exactly what his voice sounds like. Although we did hear him speak last week at home after that Lakers or the Clippers loss, when he played so well and defended Kawhi, and he talked about how the only man he fears is God, and how Kawhi bleeds just like he bleeds. And honestly, it was a pretty inspiring post-game presser from Nate Williams. He's had a couple of really good moments for the Warriors. Anyway, this is Warriors This Week on 95.7 The Game. Mark Randy with you. We do have that mystery guest courtesy of Pasta himself in about an hour. We are going to hear as well from Mike Dunleavy, who joined Willard and Dibbs yesterday here on 95.7 The Game. That is coming up as well. Plus, we got your calls to get to. I want to throw this to Pasta in a minute. I'm going to put it out there now. You can stew on it for a second, Pasta. Fair expectations for the Warriors, their final 20 games of the season. What do you think is realistic for the Warriors to go into the play-in or the postseason as, in terms of a spot in the standings? What is realistic? What are you as a Warrior fan realistically hoping for the final 20 games of the regular season? We will get to that. First, though, out to the phones at 888-957-9570. Jimmy in Bayview wants to weigh in. What's up, Jimmy? You're on Warriors This Week on 95.7 The Game.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. What you're talking about is what I was calling in about. All our big guys are injured. We've learned from Jonathan Kuminga, these kids need time to develop. We should be developing these kids. Sorry about that. It's a baby. We should be developing these kids and losing as many games as possible. If we get in the lottery, we have 4 chances at a top 4 pick. And being mediocre in the middle doesn't get us anywhere. And right now, in the last game, our 2 best players were Horford and Pods, who the fans have hammered. So it's like our best players are making $5 million or less. We need more young players. We need to give them more time to play without Draymond Green and all this. You can see how well these kids play when they get a little runway and they're not scared to make mistakes to get yanked. And I just think you got to go with the flow. And right now, it doesn't matter what our lineup is. We're not very good, so we might as well play players and try to get a decent draft pick. It's just the hand we're dealt.
So, Jimmy, before you hang up, you are encouraging the Warriors to tank, and does that entail just holding Steph Curry out for the rest of the regular season?
I think the best thing we can do right now is get young players time so that they can grow and get better for next year, because we're going to be all in next year. So what benefit is it if we play Curry? And we have to evaluate Porzingis. We're going to get the 8th seed and get swept by we're not going very far in the playoffs. And I just think 4 shots at a top 4 pick in a really strong draft is more valuable, right? And playing young players. Steph Curry isn't the type to sit out the whole season, but we got to go with the flow. And right now there's not much going on. So we're going to be I just don't think it's worth it. And this ownership constantly seems to kind of not know what it's doing. And what it results in is mediocrity for the past 3 seasons, and this is going to be a 4th. And that doesn't get you much in the draft, and it doesn't get you much on the playoff end. I mean, the Jimmy Butler thing was great, but I just don't see that happening this year again.
Yeah, appreciate the call, Jimmy. Look, I understand where you're coming from, and I understand your frustration, and I understand the intrigue of tanking and improving your draft status. The reality is, let's just say the Warriors were to tank. And Jimmy, you hit the nail on the head by saying Steph is not the kind of player to want to sit out. When he's ready to go, he's going to play. And frankly, it doesn't really matter what the Warriors' schedule is at that point. He's going what the Warriors' record is and where they are in the standings. He's going to want to play. So we can have a conversation of what is best to do, but we also need to couch it in terms of what is realistic. And what is realistic is Steph wants to play. This quote from Draymond Green post-game on Thursday. He brought up how he's had recent conversations with Steph, just about everything that's going on. And Draymond Green said, this is a relatively long quote, so stick with me. I'm going to read this for you. The sound quality in the locker room post-game Thursday, not good at all, so we don't have the sound for you. But let me read it to you. Draymond Green, again, on conversations with Steph Curry of late, said, quote, "My confidence level is high, ultimately, because I know he's going to put in all the work and do everything he can to get back. If his body allows him to get back, I know he will come back. He's not wanting to just shut it down. For us, just got to stay afloat. Nobody's expecting us to go on a 10-game win streak, but you just got to stay afloat. You can't let things go too far south, and that's what we're trying to do. Tonight's a big step towards that. You're never going to see him rattled, but I know him well enough. It's been a little challenging. Needless to say, he's staying around the guys, staying positive. He's texting me today like, quote, keep going. I know it's tough, but promise you I'm coming back." That was what Draymond Green said about recent conversations with Steph Curry on Thursday. So if there was any doubt about where Steph's mind is, that should put it to rest. It doesn't matter if he misses the next 5, 6, 7 games and say the Warriors lose all 5, 6, or 7 of those games. If Steph's ready to go and they're on a 7-game losing streak or a 7-game winning streak, he's coming in and he's playing. Now, I know, Jimmy, that's not exactly what you were saying. You were not predicting that Steph was going to want to sit out. You were saying, when you take everything into account, maybe the best course of action would be to hold Steph out or to tank and maybe not actively try to lose games, but try to develop your young players as much as you possibly could to help get ready for next season. And I feel you. I do. I understand exactly where you're coming from. The reality is the benefit for the Warriors doing that, I think, is relatively minimal. A lot of their young players are getting major minutes anyway, whether Steph plays or not. Moses Moody, when he comes back from this minor wrist thing he's dealing with, he's going to be starting, I would imagine, and playing a lot. Podziemski, who maybe that's a young player, and a lot of Warrior fans don't want to play a ton, but he's, of course, going to be playing a lot. When Will Richard returns, he's going to be playing, I would imagine, 20, 25 minutes a night as well, because that's how good he has been when he's been healthy. And then you look at the benefit of being, losing games and actually tanking. It's not going to change that much. The Warriors could lose the rest of their games this season, and in all likelihood, they would be the 10 at worst, which is still going to be in the play-in, which means if you're the 10 seed and you lose your first play-in game, and you're the 8 seed where the Warriors currently are, and say you lose both play-in games that you play, the difference there in terms of your odds of winning the lottery or moving up in the lottery, it's minuscule at best. Because if you're the 10 seed and you lose that 9-10 play-in game, you finish as the 10th best team in the West. If you're the 8 seed and you lose both play-in games, you finish as the 9 in the West. So there really isn't that big of a difference in terms of where the Warriors can go by tanking or if they just stick to it and try their best to win. And the bottom line is Steph wants to do everything he can to earn himself a playoff series. And to your point as well, Jimmy, who's to say the best thing for the Warriors' young players is playing what would be relatively meaningless regular season games or playing in a postseason series? What's more valuable for Moses Moody? What's more valuable for Will Richard? What's more valuable for Podziemski? What's more valuable for Quinton Post? Is it playing the final 20 regular season games, or is it maybe playing in 2 play-in games and 5 or 6? That probably seems idealistic that you could take OKC or San Antonio to 6, but 4 or 5, and maybe if you get lucky, 6 playoff games. Like, I don't know. I might rather the experience be in that postseason environment than relatively meaningless regular season games where you don't care about winning and the team you're playing doesn't really care about winning, and in the back of your head you kind of want to lose. Like, I would kind of prefer the playoffs to develop. And one other thing that Mark Spears, who joins Willard and Dibbs every week on 95.7 The Game, of course, Mark Spears, who covers the NBA for ESPN, he said that one of the reasons why Steph Curry wants to come back and get to the playoffs is because he wants a playoff series for the Warriors youngsters. He wants those youngsters who have experienced some playoffs in their careers, he wants them to have the experience of another postseason series. So I think when you compare what is valuable in terms of development, the regular season or a postseason series plus the play-in game or games, and then you also think about what you're actually accomplishing by dropping one spot in the Western Conference standings, I think the difference is relatively minimal. But again, this all gets to the conversation that I want to have with you all at 888-957-9570. What are fair expectations for the Warriors the rest of the way? And I want to ask you this, Pasta, because for so long it's been you got to get to a top 6 seed. You got to avoid the play-in. You want to guarantee yourselves a series. And, hey, you look at, OKC and San Antonio and how good they are. You want to avoid those teams. You want to get up to the 6. I feel like it's kind of shifted now. The 6 seems pretty impossible. And now it's you got to catch the Phoenix Suns and be the 7th seed. 20 games left, Steve. They've played 62. They're 32-30. What would you say are fair expectations for the Warriors over their final 20 games?
Well, I just think of what Steph said to Malik Andrews the other day, where he said, we're just trying to get a play-in game. And I think that's where Warriors fans are at. And I don't think that they should tank, Grandy. For all the reasons you mentioned, I don't think it's that big of a difference. And I think 2 things could be right at once. I think you can develop the young guys that they have, and I think that you could do it in a way that's meaningful for next season. And that's kind of also what you mentioned in getting them to play in a playoff series. And that's valuable to me. And I would want to see more Moses Moody and Brandon Podziemski and for some of those guys to Will Richard when he comes back, some of those guys to kind of flip the narrative. And right now the narrative is that they're complementary players, and they're complementary players at best. Maybe there's a second gear, but I don't think that they should tank. I really don't. My expectation is, a play-in game, and obviously they're not going to fall out of that, I don't think. But
they won't.
If they could get themselves a playoff series, I think, under the circumstances they're in, being an older team and having guys missing, I think that would be a win in a weird way.
Yeah. I agree with you. The goal, the larger goal, and the expectation, I think, is to go to the postseason, to have a postseason series. And the way you do that, in my opinion, is you stick at the 8th seed. So this is the meat of what I want to get to. I think the expectations for the Warriors at this point is just be exactly where you are right now. Be the 8th seed in the Western Conference. And the math, I think, checks out pretty well for the Warriors. Okay, so let's take a look at the Western Conference standings right now. And again, expectations for the Warriors' final 20 games. You can talk about if you want them to tank or not. You can talk about developing young players, as Jimmy was talking about. But just in general, what do you realistically expect for the Warriors' final 20 games and going into the play-in or postseason? What do you expect? 888-957-9570. Let's give a little bit of context, I think, to why the 8th seed is exactly where the Warriors should be targeting and circling. Not that it's ideal, but I think it is a mix of what is best given their realistic chances as well. Okay, so the Warriors are currently the 8th seed. We know that. Denver is the 5. The Lakers are the 6. We're just going to include the Lakers in this conversation because that is the first team out of the play-in. So it kind of gives you a target to jump out of the play-in. Lakers are the 6 seed. They are 38-25. The Suns are the 7 seed. They're 36-27. So a 2-game difference between the Lakers and the Suns. The Lakers have that 2-game buffer above the Suns out of the play-in. Lakers 6, Suns 7. Suns are the first play-in team. Behind the Suns are the Warriors at 8. They are 3.5 games behind the Suns for the 8. So Warriors 3.5 behind the Suns. The Suns are 36-27. The Warriors are 32-30. And by the way, the Suns, they did win last night. Let me bring up the scores from last night around the NBA. There was actually a couple of meaningful games for the Warriors. The Rockets beat the Blazers, which is good for the Warriors. If you're scared of the Warriors falling all the way to the 10, that Blazers loss does you a lot of good. The Suns were hosting the Pelicans, and the Pelicans gave them a pretty good fight, but the Suns held on and won by 2 points, 118-116. The other good news for the Warriors is the team right behind the Clippers, or right behind the Warriors, the Clippers, who lost to the Spurs, and the Spurs erased a 25-point deficit in that game. So good news there for the Warriors. But we continue with the standings. Lakers 6, Suns 2 games behind them in 7. The Warriors 3.5 behind the Suns in 8th. The Clippers in 9th, 2 games behind the Warriors. Big help last night with that loss to the Spurs. And then the Blazers, after they lost to the Rockets, they are 3 full games behind the Warriors for 10th. So as we take a look at how that would kind of plot out for a full 82-game season, right? Not all these teams have played the same number of games, but most teams have somewhere between 20 and 22 games left. If we're to take these teams' winning pace, right, what they are on pace for over 82 games. Lakers right now are on pace to win 49 or 50 games, okay? They're on pace to go something like, 50-32 or 49-33. That's what they're on pace to do. In order for the Warriors to catch the Lakers, for example, and get to the 6th seed, the Warriors would have to go something like 17-3 or 18-2 over their final 20 games. Okay? Now, this assumes the Lakers stay on their relative win pace through their first however many games they've played, 63 games. They've played one more game than the Warriors. That seems very, very, very unlikely. You'd have to go 17-3, 18-2, unless the Lakers suddenly fall off the face of the earth, which I suppose is possible. But not only that, you'd also have to have Phoenix struggle enough to where you could catch them. So that just gives you an idea of how unrealistic the 6th seed is. The Warriors have to go 17-3 or something like that to get it done. Okay, so we can forget about that. We can forget about that. What about the Phoenix Suns, again, who are 3.5 games ahead of the Warriors? They have played also 63 games, so they've got 19 games left. They're on pace to win 47 games. 47 games are the Phoenix Suns. In order for the Warriors to get to 47 wins, they need to go 15-5 the rest of the way. Even that seems like an incredibly tall task. You look at the Warriors' schedule, and trying to find only 5 losses on there, given that we don't know when Porzingis is going to come back and we don't know when Steph Curry is going to come back, that seems tough. You've got Oklahoma City tonight. That's really hard. You've got New York, the Knicks in New York. You've got Boston in Boston. You've got Detroit in Detroit. You've got Denver in Denver. You've got San Antonio at home. You've got Houston at home. You've got Cleveland at home. Those are 8 really, really tough games. Really tough games. So the Warriors only losing 5 times also seems very unrealistic. Now, the caveat here is Phoenix can maybe struggle, and they're without Dillon Brooks, and they most recently lost Mark Williams, and they lost to the Bulls a couple of nights ago, and they barely beat the Pelicans, so maybe they aren't as good as they've been for the rest of the season, but they'd have to kind of precipitously fall off their current pace in order for you to have to maybe win only 12 of your final 20 to catch them. They'd have to really, really struggle. But on their current pace, the Warriors would have to go 15-5 in order to catch the Suns. That seems very unlikely. So that leaves the Warriors at very likely staying as the 8th seed. The Clippers on their current pace, they're going to win 39 or 40 games, sub 500. That means the Warriors would have to go something like 7-13 or 8-12 to stay ahead of them. And that is very doable. That is doable. So I think when we discuss what is fair expectations for the Warriors, it is no longer talking about being the 6. It is no longer talking about being the 7. It is about the 8 seed. And why the 8 seed? Well, we can talk about the benefits of that when we come back as well. We got to take a break. This is Warriors This Week here on 95.7 The Game. Mark Randy with you. No Evan, no Dan. Pasta is here. We heard from Pasta. We're going to keep hearing from Pasta. Plus, he's going to surprise me with a mystery guest coming up in half an hour at 10:30.
Yay!
Yeah, I'm excited for that. We're also going to hear from Mike Dunleavy, GM of the Dubs, coming up later. And more time for your calls at 888-957-9570 as well. All right. Why the 8 seed is where the Warriors should target. We'll get into that coming up next. It's Warriors This Week right here on 95.7 The Game.
Discover the luxury of Monogram appliances at Friedman's Appliance in Pleasant Hill. At Monogram, it's not just one detail, it's many. From preheating your oven with voice control to checking your dishwasher cycle from your phone. Monogram blends innovation with elegance. Right now, receive up to 2 free eligible Monogram appliances or generous credits toward the appliances of your choice. Visit Friedman's Appliance in Pleasant Hill to explore the full Monogram collection, showcased in stunning live working vignettes or online at friedmansappliance.com.
Today,
Driver, start your engine!
the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series screams into action only on the CW.
Let's go!
It's pure raw racing where chaos strikes without warning.
Oh! Big crash!
And where nothing is promised, not even next week.
We don't have a lot of chances to win. That's what's frustrating.
The NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series.
From Phoenix today at 3:30 p.m. on Cron 4, the CW.
Attention! Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers, so don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-885-8877. 800-885-8877. Again, that's 800-885-8877.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Ask yourself this question. Is it really worth holding on to that timeshare that you know you need to get rid of? Here's the truth. The average maintenance fee just went up over 17%. That could have been 117%, and there's nothing you can do about it. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check for annual maintenance and assessment fees. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. For 15 years, I've helped over 50,000 families cancel their timeshare. Not sell it, not transfer it, cancel it. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment and your maintenance fees would never go up? That's a lie. Are you ready to get rid of your timeshare once and for all? Simply call us and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit that explains all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your timeshare exit kit. 800-885-3100. 800-885-3100. 800-885-3100.
When back to the office means back in traffic,
causing quite a bit of a slowdown.
Turn to the traffic leader, KCBS.
A crash blocking the 2 right lanes.
Brought to you by your NorCal Honda dealers. Award-winning Honda hybrids with incredible fuel efficiency? There's a Honda for that. Shop the spring event now at your Northern California Honda dealers.
Fox Sports Radio is taking over YouTube, and you can be a part of it.
Pay attention!
Just go to YouTube and search Fox Sports Radio. Hit that subscribe button and smash that notification bell and catch all the videos from your favorite shows. 2 Pros and a Cup of Joe. Dan Patrick, Colin Cowherd. Wow. Cavino and Rich. The Odd Couple with Rob Parker and Kelvin Washington. The Jason Smith Show with Mike Harmon. And The Ben Maller Show. Fox Sports Radio on YouTube.
Subscribe, hit that thumbs up icon, and comment away.
Hey, Jimbo. Why is your cubicle full of plastic coffee pods?
Well, I brew a lot of pods. How come yours isn't?
Because I brew San Francisco Bay Coffee's commercially compostable 1-cup coffee pods.
Commercially compostable?
Indeed. They're just like yours, but they're made from plant-based materials. So I'm helping to reduce plastic landfill waste.
Commercially compostable 1-cup coffee pods from San Francisco Bay Coffee. One small sip for a better tomorrow. 1-cup coffee pods can help reduce plastic waste in landfills when commercially composted. Commercial composting is available in limited areas and may not be available near you.
This is the story of the one. As a procurement manager for a hospital system, she keeps every facility in her network stocked and ready. That's why she counts on Grainger to be her single source for thousands of products, from disinfectants to lighting, air filters, and more. And with fast, dependable delivery, Grainger helps her keep every facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The Gorillaz are coming back to the Bay. They'll be performing their new album, The Mountain, at Oakland Arena on October 28th. Buy your tickets at LiveNation.com. And for your chance to score a pair of tickets, courtesy of Live Nation, visit the contest page at 957thegame.com.
Did you know about 1 in 3 people with plaque psoriasis may also develop psoriatic arthritis, which causes joint pain, stiffness, and swelling? Does this sound like you? Listen to what it sounds like to be a million miles away. Tremfya, guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy, and for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Imagine being a million miles away. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Visit Tremfya.com or call 1-800-526-7736.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM in HD1 San Francisco on Odyssey Sports Station. Always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch, and YouTube. Powered by First NorCal Credit Union.
Santos will screen down, gets the ball guarded by Thompson. Screen for Podziemski. He's open right side. It's a 3-ball, and it's good! Podziemski from downtown. 109-106. Warriors up by Trey.
I would want to be in Grandy's spot right now.
Now back to Warriors This Week on 95.7 The Game.
Oh, welcome back, Warriors This Week. Mark Randy with you. That's why you heard Pasta play that Steiny drop.
I would want to be in Grandy's spot right now.
If memory serves, that was about our in-office bracket pool for March Madness.
I can't remember. I remember just grabbing it.
I think it was last year, and it's funny as we welcome you back. Warriors This Week. Mark Randy with you. That's Pasta in the back on the ones and twos. We do a March Madness bracket pool in the office every year, as I think a lot of workplaces do. It's a fun way to bond with your coworkers, and it's also a fun way maybe to make a little bit of a cash off your coworkers as well. And it makes the tournament that much more interesting when you have something personal writing on it. But we got to, I don't know, it must have been maybe the Elite Eight. And I had a really good bracket last year, at least at that point. I think I might have had like 7 of the Elite Eight teams left. And my championship game was Florida versus Duke. And I had Duke winning. And I don't remember which Final Four game happened first. It might have been, I don't remember. But I had Florida beating, I forget who they were facing in the Final Four. And then I had Duke beating Houston. And those were the actual Final Four matchups. I had the 4 Final Four teams right. But I picked Duke to beat Houston, and then I picked Duke to beat Florida in the championship game. And as we're leading up to that, Steiny on the air gave me the kiss of death. And he said, as Pasta had played,
I would want to be in Grandy's spot right now.
Exactly. And I was the favorite to win the pool and win the money. And then Cooper Flagg and Con Knippel and Duke choked.
Oh, no.
Yeah, choked in the Final Four versus Houston. LJ Cryer, Warriors legend LJ Cryer, helped lead the comeback against Duke in the Final Four, and Houston upset the Blue Devils, then went on to the national championship game where, of course, they lost to Will Richard and company of Florida. But Steiny on air said that he would want to be in my spot, and that was exactly when I knew I was going to lose. So thanks a lot, Steiny. I appreciate that.
I will say, Grandy, being here almost a little over a year, one thing I've learned is that you're always in the mix for everything. And I'm not just saying that because you're here in front of me, but like fantasy football, second place, knockout, 2-time winner, this March Madness bracket, but could be called Mark Madness. I mean, you're just always in the mix, Grandy. I think, I don't know if it's luck or skill. I think the latter, but
there's definitely luck involved. Maybe a little
knockout.
Maybe a little bit of skill. Well, there's luck in knockout too. I mean, I had Goo behind me. That's pretty lucky.
Hey,
sorry, Goo.
Hey.
I do. You mentioned Mark Madness, and it's funny because my name, Mark, I know most people around here call me Grandy, my last name. I spell my name Mark with a C, so it's M-A-R-C, which is only the H away from March. I run a separate pool, a Mark Madness pool. If you want in this year, Pasta, you're in. And have you seen the mug that Lucas sometimes uses?
I have.
That has my face photoshopped onto... Let me give the context. I went to Oregon. I'm a big Duck fan. My face photoshopped onto Peyton Pritchard's body when he was at Oregon in like a March Madness promotional graphic. And a friend of mine made this for me just randomly. And I thought, you know what, this is really, really fun and cool. I'm going to put this onto a mug, and I'm going to run a Mark Madness pool every year. And whoever wins the pool gets the Mark Madness mug. Last year, because Duke choked, Lucas ended up winning, so now Lucas has the Mark Madness mug.
I was wondering whose mug that is because I feel like I've seen Steiny drink out of it too, but I could be wrong.
It's Lucas's technically, but I think whoever just at the station uses it.
It lives here.
Actually, is it? I saw it in here earlier this week. Someone must have
find it before the show ends,
and I'll show it off on the YouTube chat. But yeah, so you're in that pool if you want to be in it, and I mean I'll open it up to listeners too if they want to be a part of it. You can hit me up on any of my social medias if you want to be in, and we'll get you in for that pool. But, yeah, hit me up on Twitter, at Mark Grandy. And again, it's Mark with a C, M-A-R-C, and then my last name, G-R-A-N-D-I. Anyway, Warriors this week here on 95.7 The Game. I'm Mark Grandy. That's Pasta, Steven Risotto. He's got a mystery guest coming up for me at 10:30. I'm going to try to guess who it is live on air. We'll see how quickly my brain can work. And then we're also going to hear from Mike Dunleavy, not a live interview, I wish. How cool would that be? But he was on with Willard and Dibbs yesterday, and there's a lot that I want to talk about that Dunleavy said, so we're going to play that full interview back for you coming up at 11 here on Warriors This Week as well. Again, that's coming up at 11. Mike Dunleavy, his full conversation with Willard and Dibbs. I want to get back to why I feel like the 8 seed is the Warriors' only goal at this stage of the season and what that's going to look like the rest of the way. We'll do that in a sec, but first, let's go out to the phone lines. Mitch in New Jersey has been hanging on pretty patiently. What's up, Mitch? You're on Warriors This Week on 95.7 The Game.
What's poppin', Mark? How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Everybody out there? Pretty good. You're getting a little warm up here, so I think the last of snow is behind us till next year.
Nice.
I think the 9th seed would be a little better if you want to get to the first round. This is cool. I call this round 0. It's like week 0 of the college football, like my USC. I call this week 0, but I agree. If we're gonna make the playoffs, I think that's a given. But you gotta like the way, especially the Anthony Melton. He deserves a contract extension now. Pods is playing pretty good. Good work on the shoot, but I like his game. And encourage him to come back. He always gives 100% effort. We might make a little noise, but it's not going to be much. But like you said, we do go 1 and out. Maybe we'll be like the Dallas Mavericks, and get one of those. It's supposed to be a very deep draft, but sometimes it feels like 2 of these guys are already hurt. With the top 4 picks that talk about Caleb and Peterson. They kind of remind me of some of these players that didn't pan out, like Marvin Williams. We're always waiting him to turn. So that's how it seems to remind me. And it could be a fool's gold. And one more thing, I think we should have kept Kuminga. This Porzingis, he's always hurt. He seems like he's not going to be the last team either. And maybe be one of those guys that plays for 15 NBA teams before it's all said and done. I just don't have no faith that he's going to contribute.
Yeah.
His salary dump and salary for the last year. I don't understand the math, but I'm sure you do better than me with this salaries and with salary cap and what you can trade and the aprons.
Yeah, it's difficult to understand, Mitch. I appreciate the call, and I think you feel the way a lot of Warrior fans feel about the Porzingis trade, right? Like, it's kind of what I was talking about earlier. I feel like the last month and a half, almost 2 months now, has just been gut punch after gut punch after gut punch for the Warriors. And obviously it's the injury to Jimmy, it's the injury to Steph that has proven to be a whole lot more serious than I think a lot of people, at least people outside the organization, were thinking. It has to deal with the end of the Jonathan Kuminga era, which I think in a vacuum isn't the worst thing in the world. Not because I think Kuminga is, a bum. I don't think that at all. Kuminga has so much talent, and if he puts it together, he's going to make the Warriors look pretty darn foolish, and he already hasn't made the Warriors look good, given how he's played in his first 3 games there. But it's the combination of Kuminga being traded, the Warriors getting back Porzingis, Kuminga playing, although he's also only, played 3 games so far. He did not play in Milwaukee the last time Atlanta played. Let me make sure that is still correct. They play today. They play at 3 o'clock versus the 76ers. Let me take a look at the injury report actually really quick and let you know if Kuminga is expected to play in that game. But he's only played 3 games. That is 2 more than Porzingis has played, though, so there is a bit of a difference there. The injury report for the Hawks today, Jonathan Kuminga is questionable with that left knee inflammation. So questionable for Kuminga. That's what kept him out of the game a couple of days ago in Milwaukee for Atlanta. We'll see if he plays in his 4th game as a member of the Hawks today or not. While we're on the injury report, really quick, I'll give you the Warriors. Obviously no Jimmy, we know that. Obviously no Steph, we know that. Moses Moody is still out with the right wrist sprain. You remember in that game against the Clippers, you probably saw him hurt the shoulder more than the wrist. The shoulder is fine. He said that he's gone through things like that before. That's not really what's bothering him. It is the wrist that is the bigger deal. That's what's costing him today's game as well. So no Moses Moody, no Steph, no Jimmy. And then you've got a group of 4 players that are questionable. Seth Curry, first of all, questionable, left sciatic nerve irritation. So he's working his way back, and even if it's not today, it looks like it's going to be relatively soon. When was the last time Seth Curry played in a game? Let me find this for you. He played in 2 games so far this year for the Warriors. Has not played with his brother Steph yet. Last game played for Seth Curry was December 4th. So he's missed all of December, all of January, all of February, essentially missed 3 months. Seth Curry has not played in 3 months. He, though, is questionable for today. Also questionable for today is Kristaps Porzingis with that illness that has cost him a number of games. He last played the first game out of the All-Star break against the Celtics, has not played since then. So he's missed, about 3 weeks now? He missed the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games. Kristaps Porzingis has with that illness. He is questionable today. Both those two, Seth and Kristaps, they got work in pregame in Houston on Thursday. I would imagine even if they don't play today, they're going to get more work in pregame tonight in Oklahoma City. And if they don't play today, it does seem like they are trending to a return relatively soon. They're questionable today. Also questionable, both DeAnthony Melton and Will Richard. Will Richard, of course, sprained his ankle versus the Lakers. Did not play the rest of that game. Did not play versus the Clippers and missed Houston as well. We'll see if he returns today. He's questionable. And then DeAnthony Melton is also questionable with left knee injury management. GP2, who did not play last game on Thursday with left ankle impingement, he is probable for the Warriors today. Meanwhile, really quickly for OKC, they got a long injury report. And I mentioned in our first hour earlier about Hartenstein, and they're going to go double big. They do go double big often with Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren. There's so many injuries across the league today. Now, it's honestly an issue for the league how many star and key players do not play often, and some of them are very legitimate injuries, like Hartenstein's is. He's out with a left calf contusion, so no Hartenstein tonight for OKC. They're also down, of course, Jalen Williams, J-Dub from Santa Clara. They're down Alex Caruso, who was a really key bench piece for them in their championship team last year. They're also down A.J. Mitchell, who, as I talked about earlier, it feels like OKC is just drowning in 3-and-D wings. He's another one of their guys. Averaging over 14 points per game this year is A.J. Mitchell. He's probably a relatively unknown in terms of, just kind of casual NBA fans around the league, but he has been really key for them this year. He's also not going to play tonight. So a lot of injuries on both sides. OKC, though, is still a major, major favorite in this game, and that's just how good OKC is. Let me bring it up because I do want to get the number right. Just how favored OKC is over the Warriors in this game. It is a 14.5-point spread in favor of OKC. So OKC down a number of key guys. The difference is, of course, SGA and Chet are going to play. The Warriors are down their two best players in Steph and Jimmy. And their third best player, I guess it depends how you define it. It might be Melton, it might be Porzingis, it might be Draymond. Two of those three guys are questionable. And Moody is still out. So Warriors down a ton of key guys. OKC down some key guys, but their best player and the reigning MVP is going to play in this game. So OKC, a big, big, big favorite with 14.5 points in favor of OKC. But why I got onto that was talking about Kuminga and his injury. What has been so rough for the Warriors, and it was Mitch in New Jersey who brought this up, what has been so rough for the Warriors is the combination of Kuminga playing and playing well in Atlanta and Porzingis not playing with Golden State. Now, we're going to hear the full conversation with Mike Dunleavy coming up in a little bit at 11 o'clock here on Warriors This Week. But Mike Dunleavy was asked essentially to explain the thought process behind the Porzingis trade, and here's what he said. Pasta, I'm going to play this myself. Just make sure my pod is up over there. Here's Mike Dunleavy, Warriors GM, yesterday with Willard and Dibbs, explaining the thought process of the Porzingis trade.
The thought process for us on the trade was the opportunity to get a player of his quality, who when healthy is pretty good, pretty unique, right? Like what he can do on the defensive end, what he can do on the offensive end. We had to calculate what we thought the ability and the chances of him, being healthy and playing a bunch for us. We felt pretty good about that. We still do. There's been a little bit of a hiccup. He played one game and he's been out, but I think his return is imminent. And so I think from a trade standpoint to acquire that talent, obviously we're given, what we gave up is what we gave up. And, as a young player that had, frankly asked to be moved. And so when you factor all that in, it's like we get a guy that, we think can help us now, possibly to bring him back in the future, complements our current group, and we're trading out a player that, didn't want to be here. That was kind of the thought process behind the trading. And so does it come with risk like all these things do? Absolutely. Last year we traded for Jimmy Butler, and I think a lot of people thought, what are you doing? This is a guy that hasn't played for Miami. He's holding everything up there. And so we took some risk there, but we believed in it, and it's worked out, and we kind of feel the same way about KP. So we'll see how it goes. These things can take some time, but, we feel good about the contributions he can make now and moving forward.
Okay, so that's Mike Dunleavy, Warriors GM, yesterday with Willard and Dibbs, talking about the thought process of the KP trade. And I think the most important phrase or sentence that he said there was, we felt good about his ability to play, a lot of games and be available. And then he said, we still do. We still feel that way. So that's how the Warriors feel. The reality, though, is that it hasn't been the case. And I know that he's questionable today, and maybe he makes his return and he plays in his second game after the trade and his second ever game as a Warrior, and maybe he stays healthy for the majority of the rest of the season. That is all on the table. That is all possible. And I'm not going to sit here and predict one way or another. All I know is what has happened. And what has happened is the Warriors traded away a young, talented player in Kuminga, who they've had a number of differences with, and we don't need to relitigate exactly what went down and what happened. The bottom line is, he's been a gigantic story around the league, and most of the story has been, what the hell were the Warriors doing? Because Kuminga leaves, plays 3 great games for Atlanta, and the guy that you got back, who's on an expiring contract, has played just 1 game, and it's not as if his absence is because of a fluke injury that you think once he gets healthy, he's going to be able to play again. It is because of a mysterious illness. And I say mysterious because that's what Steve Kerr said. That's the word Steve Kerr used. Just last week, he said it was not POTS, which is what Porzingis admitted he had been diagnosed with, but that it was something else and that it is this mysterious thing. So I'm really just using the Warriors' language that they have used. And you don't know exactly what is actually going on with Porzingis' health. Now, I'm not trying to pry. I'm not trying to make light of what could be a potentially pretty serious condition, and I wish nothing but the best from a health perspective for Porzingis. But the bottom line for the Warriors is the optics look terrible. The optics are we traded away a young player who we had our differences with. Fair enough. He's played really well in Atlanta, and the guy that we got back, who we said we felt good about him playing a lot of games, has played just one game in. So the optics are pretty darn bad. Now, you take all of that into account, and again, you get back to what we were talking about earlier, which is what should be the Warriors' expectation going forward. And I think it is just flatly be the 8 seed. The Warriors' goal, and I don't know if this has been discussed in the locker room or, in the huddle or during practices or whenever these teams get together on shoot-arounds or on the team bus or the plane or whatever it is, whenever they're all together and they're talking about what they want to accomplish. Because they're never going to sit there and say, we got 20 games left. We want to go 7-13, right? That's what our goal is. But we can be realistic and we can take a look at what is possible for the Warriors. And again, for the Warriors to climb out of the top, out of the play-in and be a top 6 seed, they would have to go something like 17-3 or 18-2. That is how difficult this is going to be for the Warriors. Based on the pace the Lakers are on, the Warriors have to go 17-3 or 18-2 to catch them. Okay? That's not going to happen. In order for the Warriors to catch the Suns, assuming the Suns stay on their current pace, which is a 47-win pace, the Warriors have to go 15-5 or thereabouts to do that. That seems very, very, very unlikely considering the number of challenging games that they have coming up and their injury status. Porzingis maybe comes back today. If he does, great. We still don't know exactly when Steph's going to be back. He's missing at least 3 more games, including today. And doesn't mean that he's going to return immediately after this 3-game stretch. You're going to go 15-5 over your final 20, even if Steph was fully healthy. That seems very, very unlikely. It's nothing against Steph or against anyone else that is currently injured for the Warriors. That's just 15-5 in a 20-game stretch. I don't care who the opponents are, that's hard to do. That seems unlikely. In order for the Warriors to stay the 8 seed, based on the current pacing of the teams behind them, the Clippers at 9 and the Blazers at 10, in order for the Warriors to stay as the 8, you got to go something like 7-13 or 8-12. That feels like a realistic goal for the Warriors. So as we take a look at what the Warriors should be looking to do over their final 20 games, which again includes games like tonight in OKC, like next weekend, next Sunday, 8 days from now, in New York versus the Knicks. The following Wednesday in Boston versus the Celtics. The following Friday in Detroit versus the Pistons. You have all of these games coming up, and those are all on the road specifically. 7-13, 8-12, somewhere around there should be your goal. Finish basically the season at 500, and you're probably going to be the 8 seed. Now, why do you want the 8 seed? You might say, well, the play-in's the play-in. Doesn't really matter where you are. You want to be as high as you possibly can in the play-in. But again, we're talking about being realistic here, and the 7 seed to me feels unrealistic. Unless the Suns lose, they've got, I think, 19 games left. If they were to go, say, 6-13 in their final 19, that would open the door for you to catch them and get that done. But again, you're relying on Phoenix to really, really struggle the rest of the way in order for you to catch them, because 15-5 just seems out of the world of possibility. Warriors should be the 8. That should be their new goal. And you want the 8 because the 8 gives you 2 chances to win a play-in game to go to the playoffs. Again, the way that the play-in works in the NBA is the 7 seed and the 8 seed play each other. Right now, that is the Suns and the Warriors. The 7 seed hosts. So the Suns would host the Warriors in the 7-8 play-in game. Winner of that game is your 7 seed and would take on, as it currently is constructed, the San Antonio Spurs. So 7-8 plays each other, 7 hosts. Winner of that is the 7. Loser of that game then advances to the next play-in game. And they take on, again, the loser of that 7-8 game, which is hosted by the 7 seed. The loser of that game then takes on the winner of the 9-10 game. The 9-10 game is hosted by the 9 seed. Currently would be the Clippers hosting the Blazers. Winner of that game advances to take on the loser of the 7-8 game. The loser of that 9-10 game is out, and then the winner of that next matchup between the loser of 7-8 and the winner of 9-10, that is your 8 seed, and becomes the 8 seed again, and would then get a chance to take on, as it currently stands, OKC. So being the 8 seed guarantees you 2 chances to win 1 game, and at least the second one would be at home. The first one would be on the road. Being the 9 seed, though, means you have to win twice. You have to win 2 do-or-die games, and then your reward for winning those 2 do-or-die games is take on the defending champion OKC Thunder in the first round. Does not seem like a good strategy at all. Not that San Antonio in the first round seems like a great strategy either, but the Warriors do have a little bit of success versus San Antonio this year, and they can't say the same about OKC. So the 8 seed is the Warriors' new goal. It should absolutely be their new goal. And when we talk about what the 20 games should look like, win 8 of them. Win 8 of 20, and you'll be the 8 seed. It feels pretty safe. You'll be the 8 seed, and you go from there. And that gives Steph Curry a chance to play meaningful basketball. And that's all that he wants. And again, we're going to hear from Mike Dunleavy. He talked about what Steph Curry wants as well. You're not going to want to miss that. Plus, we got a lot more to break down. And we do have our mystery guest coming up next. Pasta in the back is rubbing his hands together like he's an evil genius.
I'm so excited.
You got anything to say for yourself, Pasta?
There's something included here that's just going to be so funny.
Oh, no. I don't know whether to be excited or nervous. All right, that's coming up. Pasta's going to surprise me with a mystery guest. I'm probably going to make myself look like an idiot live on the air. You're not going to want to miss it. If you want to join the conversation, 888-957-9570. Warriors This Week continues. Mark Randy with you. Steven Risotto, a.k.a. Pasta as well. We're back with more next on 95.7 The Game.
Aftershock, the West Coast's largest rock, metal, and punk festival, returns to Sacramento this October with My Chemical Romance. When you got me what you want to know, we'll carry you. Tool. Limp Bizkit. Pierce the Veil. Plus, Suicide Boys, Queens of the Stone Age, The Offspring, A Day to Remember, Wu-Tang Clan, Sublime, Danny Elfman, Baby Metal, Public Enemy, Circa Survive, and so many more. 4 days, 135 plus bands, 5 stages. Aftershock takes over Discovery Park October 1st through 4th. My Chemical Romance, Tool, Limp Bizkit, Pierce the Veil. All 4-day, single day, and premium passes are on sale now, starting at only $1 down. Get yours at AftershockFestival.com.
This is the sound of Lucy, staying on top of her spending. You see, even though she's buying a new pair of jeans, she knows that it fits within her monthly budget. Because Wells Fargo will send an alert if her balance drops below her set amount. Yep, nothing gets past Lucy, or Wells Fargo for that matter. However you make money work, Wells Fargo can work with that.
Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.
Today,
Driver, start your engine!
the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series screams into action only on the CW.
Let's go!
It's pure raw racing where chaos strikes without warning.
Oh, big crash!
And where nothing is promised, not even next week.
We don't have a lot of chances to win. That's what's frustrating.
The NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series.
From Phoenix today at 3:30 p.m. on KRON 4, the CW.
This is Larry Fleck, owner of The Floor Store. This month marks our 40th anniversary. We're celebrating with the biggest sale ever. Every product store-wide will be 30% off. Go to floorstores.com for directions. The Floor Store, your Bay Area flooring authority.
Women's Heritage Day is coming to History Park on Saturday, March 7th from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. Join History San Jose, Mosaic America, and other community partners as we celebrate Women's History Month in the Santa Clara Valley. This free, family-friendly event will feature live cultural performances, a poetry lounge, crafts for all ages, booths from local woman-owned small businesses, a woman-owned lowrider and classic car show, and more. Want to be a sponsor or find out how you can get involved? Visit historysanjose.org.
What if you could have the most reliable fiber-powered Wi-Fi? And get this, what if you could keep it at the same price for 5 years? That's the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. 5 years of Wi-Fi that boosts speeds to the devices that need them most, that finds and fixes problems before you even notice them. Like super intelligent Wi-Fi with a 6th sense. And that keeps you gaming in the fast lane, even when the whole family's banking on bandwidth. All your devices working in perfect harmony for 5 whole years. And here's the best part. No annual contract, contracts, no hidden fees, and our best equipment included.
Plus, get online in no time with same-day Wi-Fi.
Hey, let's face it, a lot can change in 5 years. Kids grow taller, dreams grow bigger, but your Wi-Fi, it would stay reliable and the price would stay put. The Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities. Xfinity. Imagine that.
Select plans only. Restrictions apply. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA Fixed Broadband Experience Report, May 2025. Actual speeds vary. Xfinity Internet powered by fiber and connected to the premises by coaxial cable.
It's the 6 o'clock shop. Head to Safeway this week for 2-pound strawberries or 12-ounce raspberries or blackberries, just $4.99 each. Clip coupons from the weekly mailer or download them from the Safeway app. See you in the aisle.
Hey, it's Jonas Knox, and winter is in full swing, and Aleve is here to keep you moving. When the cold weather sets in, everyday aches and pains can linger, but Aleve's got your back. With up to 12 hours of body pain relief per dose, Aleve keeps you going with long-lasting body pain relief to get you through whatever the season brings. Chilly days or cozy nights, Aleve gives you that long-lasting body pain relief you can count on this winter. So don't let body pain slow you down. Try Aleve. Use as directed for minor aches and pains.
Bay FC fans, we're back. Home opener is Saturday, March 14th at 3:30 p.m. at PayPal Park versus Denver Summit FC. New coach, new signings, and new supporter groups bringing the noise. Flexible ticket options available now at bayfc.com. See you there.
Staples presents That Was Easy.
So I opened a restaurant and needed everything. Menus, signage, catering brochures.
Everything and then some.
I went to Staples. They printed it all and even suggested takeout menus.
One money pit with a side of fries.
But now at Staples, you get up to $125 off custom print orders.
$125 off. Now you're cooking. Brand your business in a big way at Staples.
That was easy.
Shop Staples in store, online, or in the app by 4/4 to unlock. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details.
If you need a new appliance, this is your sign. Shop at Lowe's now to get up to 35% off and next-day delivery on hundreds of major appliances. A new appliance now means an easier-to-do list later. Our best lineup is at Lowe's. Valid through 3/18 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. Order by 4 p.m. Available Monday through Saturday. Subject to availability. Fees, exclusions, and restrictions apply. See Lowe's.com/appliance delivery for more details.
Join 95.7 The Game in celebrating Women's History Month at Women's Heritage Day, March 7th at History Park in San Jose. Don't miss this free family-friendly event. Brought to you by History San Jose, Mosaic America, and Chicana Alianza for Liberatory Engagement. For more info, visit 957thegame.com.
Now back to Warriors This Week on 95.7 The Game.
Welcome back. Yeah, you just heard it. Warriors This Week. No Evan Giddings, no Dan Devone this week. So they got me, Mark Grandy, filling in, plus the great Steven Risotto, a.k.a. Pasta Behind the Glass, setting us up today. We're with you until noon, so we got an hour and a half left. We're going to hear from Warriors general manager Mike Dunleavy, who was on with Willard and Dibbs yesterday. That's coming up in a little bit. Before that, though, this is the moment that Pasta's been looking forward to, like, for the last 3 days. I've been talking to him about this for quite a while. And, Steven, you have booked a mystery guest for us. I have no clue who this person is. I don't know. I know who it is, I would imagine. Yeah, the phone's ringing.
Oh, my God, Grandy.
I think I know who this is, or I will know who this is, but I don't know exactly who it is just yet. So why don't you set this up for us, Pasta?
So the phone is ringing here at 95.7 The Game, and we have somebody on the line that Grandy has no idea who it is. And mystery caller, can you hear us? How you doing?
How's it going? I can hear you loud and clear.
I can hear you as well. Okay, I do not recognize the voice immediately, so I'm going to ask you a few questions, I suppose, mystery guest. I'm going to try to figure out who you are.
Let's go for it.
So, would I know you from work in the Bay Area?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Is it related specifically to the Warriors?
For sure, related.
Would you consider yourself a journalist?
No, not really. Not really a journalist. Not my type of work.
What is like your most marketable skill?
Well, I would have to say motivating people.
Motivating people. Interesting. Okay. So work for the Warriors, obviously in the Bay, not a journalist, and you motivate people. Okay, maybe I have an idea. Do you work specifically for the Warriors, not like covering the Warriors, but are you an employee of the Warriors?
Yes, I am an employee of the Warriors.
Does your work entail being inside of Chase Center?
Chase Center is my place of employment, correct, yes.
And let me guess, you don't work road games?
I do not work road games, no.
Is this Franco Finn?
Yes, it's Franco Finn. It's go time from 95.7 The Game out of the University of Oregon. Make some noise for Mark Grandy.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Franco. It's great to talk to you. I've never gone up and introduced myself to you before, but being a lifelong Warrior fan, I mean, you've been the soundtrack for so many of my favorite personal moments growing up. So it's great to talk to you.
Oh, man, likewise, Mark. Come say hi sometime. I know we're running around doing our things here when we're at the games, but, I've been there 24 seasons, hyping it up for the best fans in the NBA, Dub Nation, and appreciate you being through all of it.
Of course. And you threw me for a little bit of a loop when you said motivating, but now it totally makes sense. It totally clicks because you get the fans on their feet. You get them fired up.
Correct. I'm the hype man. And so if I said I get them hyped up, I would have given it away.
Yeah,
right?
You had to dance around that a little bit.
Yeah. I had to go, what kind of word can I use? I say, I motivate people.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say.
Very, very well said. Well, I would imagine this year has been a little challenging, at least the last couple of weeks, because of what's happened with all the injuries. How tough is it when maybe the team isn't winning as much as the fan base is used to, yet your job is still the same? You have to get everybody fired up.
Well, that's my job, right? And that's how I started 24 years ago. You imagine when we couldn't even, win that many games. We didn't make the playoffs. So we had the product on the court during timeouts, and that was back then great timeout entertainment television. If you remember that, GTOE TV, we had bands, DJs, hosts, MCs, hype man. We were one of the first ones to kind of bring that entertainment value to games to distract fans from other things, right? And so, yes, the job begins when basically timeouts happen and we need a little bit of juice to get them, through the third and fourth quarters. And, hey, the fans make a huge difference. So it's a big role. It's a maestro to motivate people.
How did you get this job in the first place? I would imagine this is a pretty competitive thing to be. And I know way back when you started, the Warriors weren't as we currently think of the Warriors. That was, not the most exciting team in the NBA. But I would imagine it's a difficult job to kind of get in the first place. How did it play out? How did you land this?
Yeah, that's the question I get all the time, Mark. So here's the thing. 2002 is when I started. Look at that. How far back? Like I said, I'm in my 24th season now. I came from radio. I came from this medium right here. I was actually working for a Disney radio station here, Radio Disney in the Bay, and literally it was a station for kids. It was my first job out of college, and honestly, I was just doing events, promotions. I was part of the street team and whatnot, and I started getting the microphone, and I was pretty good at it. I was getting people excited at every event. I'm talking from grocery store openings to movie screens and then concerts. The concerts is really where I took off. This was during the boy band era, and I got it like NSYNC, Backstreet, Christina Aguilera, Britney Spears. Well, a girl named Hilary Duff, who was on the Disney Channel, and she was like a triple threat. She had a concert in the Bay at Oracle Arena, or the arena in Oakland at the time. She had no opening act. I had her as a guest. I became kind of a personality for this radio station. And she had no opening act. She said, Franco, could you hype it up and open it up and warm it up? I have no opening act. This is your town. I said, oh, crap. What does this mean? So I hyped it up for about, and I kid you not, 25 straight minutes of back and forth. And you imagine talking to a crowd live, teens, tweens, moms, glow sticks in the air, sold out for this pop sensation, and you have to stall 20 minutes or so. It was a task. I made a chance. You know, when I say this, you say that. Who's from the 4-1? The area code, zip code. I mean, I threw everything out there. And I was exhausted, and let me tell you, the Warriors execs were there with their daughters backstage and whatnot, and their kids, and they said, wow, man, you know how to captivate an audience. And I was doing this for concerts for, like, you know, Backstreet, NSYNC, all the pop bands at the time, and that's how I got my job. 24 years later, my role evolved. They started doing the starting lineups. They loved my energy, and they said, oh, man, you got to do the starting lineups. And, look, I've introduced Stephen Curry since his very rookie year. All these guys, Draymond, you know, Clay, championships. I would have never imagined a San Francisco Bay Area kid would be working for their local hometown team and doing this good with the team. I mean, experiencing it. And we've seen the trajectory, right? So, yeah, it's been awesome. That's the career. That's how it happened.
That's an awesome story, and kind of cool just how things happen like that. Not like you applied or there was an opening for it and you wowed them. You just happened to be at a spot that they were, and they liked you, and the rest is history. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You have,
yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was thinking the funny thing is, you know, I went to college at Santa Clara University. So if you hear a little out of Santa Clara University, you know, number 2, Brandon Ponjimski. You know, I got to give a love to my Santa Clara Broncos. But I studied TV production and film. And here I am, ended up in radio. Radio changed my life, and I loved it ever since. And the rest was history. I didn't even think I was going to be in front of the scenes like this. It's wild. That's awesome. Okay, let me ask you this. I'm sure there's a number of that come to mind for you. The one that comes to mind for me is when Clay returned from his 2-year absence. Oh, yes. I mean, it gives me chills whenever I hear you do it, and maybe you could do it for us again here, but the he's back is amazing. What is the most, I don't know, your most memorable, most exciting moment that you just pinch me? I did that. What is the number one moment for you? Well, I gotta say, there's a lot of moments. Obviously, the NBA championship in 2015, 40 years to the date type of thing. That was special to be in the NBA Finals, to be at home with our fans and introducing this starting lineup, because that's there. And then Steph Curry, he's returned on after several maybe weeks of injuries, like maybe this was years ago. I remember that, and that was a big moment. But the Klay Thompson, I have to say, and thank you for recognizing that, because a lot of folks around the internet and the world, if you're not part of Dub Nation in the Bay Area, they don't know that this came out of me, and it really was a very simple thing. I had a whole thing written up like, hey, he's coming back from this, giving them a big welcome. And then I was talking to my boss there at the time, and he was like, I think, they're going to record you live, ESPN, the world. I mean, this is a big moment. Let's put Klay at the end. I said, yeah, let's do it. And I was just thinking like this. He was so ready. I could see it in his face that he was like, Killer Klay's coming back, right? 2 years. I cannot wait to get out. Remember, he got out the gates and he was just so pumped. But I was like, you know what? It's going to be this Killer Klay thing. So I started thinking, I said, you know what? Let's just do it simple. Kind of like a la Michael Jordan, he's back type of thing, but with a little, he's back! And it was like that. It was just like this deep, ooh, I'm going to come at you. And Killer Klay, man, he did. And it was awesome. And we won a championship that year. Yeah, that's amazing. You just gave me chills once again by doing it. So obviously the way that you guys have it set up, you have the PA announcer who Steve Scott works with us here in this building at KCBS. You've got you. I know there's multiple other people that are on the mic. When you're announcing the lineups, where are you inside of Chase? Because I know where Steve Scott is always right there at the scorer's table, and you are mobile. You're walking all around the arena the entire game. Right. One thing I've always wondered is when you're doing the lineups, where are you inside of Chase? It's funny. I'm right behind Steve. Oh, okay. I'm literally, because what happens is I am mobile, and it's kind of unique. I mean, there's not really a lot of MCs or hype people, if you will, in the sport. Now there's a lot, the lot, every team has it, but doing the starting lineups was kind of a new concept 20-something years ago. But, our Warriors folks said, hey, Franco, I know it's kind of not traditional, but we're going to give you the home team, because the home team needs to hear a home voice, and the players need a consistent home hype voice. And that's where it all started. But I'm right behind Steve at the scores table live, and then we have our director kind of cueing us, and then it's a nice orchestra, man. It's like a little dance. Steve goes, I go, and we've got this kind of mutual respect. It's part of our game experience, and then I move around after that. I'll do some hype here and there. I'll go up and down depending on the promo and the contest, but. Man, it's fun. It's mobile and it's fun. I love it. And I couldn't stay behind a desk anyways. It's not my thing.
Yeah. Warriors hype man Franco Finn with us here on Warriors This Week. Mark Randy with you. Franco, I know you got an event coming up and you took some time out, so we appreciate that. One more before we let you go. 20 games left for the Warriors. Maybe Kristaps back today. Hopefully Steph back within the next week or so. We shall see. What do you expect for the Warriors the rest of the way, the final 20 games?
Well, I mean, I'm telling you, look, you'll hear this all the time, but you can never count them out, right? The experience, the coaching, the veterans, we know how to win, and we've been there before. We've been down and out so many times. This is the stretch, though. This is the stretch of the 20 games, and I've been here 24 years, and as long as we've got a chance, I mean, even playing, you just never know. I mean, we don't want to be in the play-in, but hey, make the top 8. Hey, do you remember all when we overthrew Dallas? Number 8 seed over number 1. I mean, if it can be done, this is the one team that can do it. And now I'm here to hype it up, but we've seen some crazy things here with Dub Nation. And you know what? As long as we get into the big dance there and the party, you know what? We hopefully we'll come up on top. But you never know. One game at a time. But this is the stretch. This is the stretch right here. This is the critical key time. And I'm excited for it, to be honest. It's like, buckle up, fans. It's going to be a roller coaster ride.
Yeah, absolutely. And they'll be in their seats ready for you to hype them up come Tuesday, March 10th. That's the next home game. Chicago Bulls in town, of course, in OKC tonight, in Utah on Monday. Then they return home for the Bulls and the T-Wolves next week. Franco, thank you so much for joining us. Shout out to my guy, Steven Risotto, for setting this whole thing up. You surprised me. Definitely great to catch up with you, and we'll do it again later.
Let's do it again. All right, man. Keep it up. Have a good weekend, guys.
All right. Thanks. You too. That's Warriors hype man Franco Finn with us here on Warriors This Week. That was a lot of fun. Kudos again to my guy behind the glass, Steven Risotto, a.k.a. Pasta, for surprising me with that. It took me a bit to figure out who it was. And again, I had no clue. Going in. Pasta just told me, I got a mystery guest for you. You're going to ask him a few handful of yes or no questions. And try to figure it out. And I'm glad I eventually got it right. It is crazy when you are a performer like Franco Finn is. I know maybe some of you feel like, I'm a performer. I don't feel like I put on like a persona or a different voice. It is crazy how different Franco Finn's voice is when he's announcing the lineups, right? Versus when he's just talking like he was on the radio. Because I don't know if there's anybody out there who, when you first heard your voice, you go, oh my God, that's Franco Finn. You think of Franco Finn, and if you don't know who Franco Finn is, you know the voice if you're a Warrior fan. He is the Warriors hype man. But Pasta, I did not recognize the voice immediately, and I feel like I would have guessed with someone like that, I would recognize the voice immediately.
So part of me was very worried, Grandy, that, maybe you wouldn't recognize the voice. But
I didn't.
And the questioning could not have been better. Like, you asked the right questions. There was a point in time where I was like, okay, he knows who it is. He's just kind of going through the motions of asking the question. And Franco and I, before this, were deciding like when he was going to do the intro for you, whether it was going to be like, I was like, just get a feel, like play along with it. Don't do it right away. And that was way better than the first time I tried this. Because with Kevin Dana, Evan Giddings, and Dan Devone, Dana literally just said hi, and Dan said, it's Kevin Dana. So this one was not a flop. That was so much fun.
I don't think he was like hiding his voice in any purposeful way. I just think it's when he's performing and his mic is hot, he kind of turns into a different voice. So I did not recognize it, but you're right. Once I asked, you don't work road games, do you? I knew who it was.
And I always have had confidence, Grandy, just because you are at Chase Center more than maybe any of us. Evan Giddings is there quite a bit too, maybe him.
Whit's our social media
Whitley
coordinator.
Sandretto too, our social coordinator. So it's just kind of a voice that gets ingrained in your head after being there for so long and growing up a Warriors fan. So I knew all the way that you would probably get it.
He did throw me for a loop when I asked, what's your most marketable skill? And he said, motivating people. I was like, wait, mode? Oh, yeah, okay. I guess that makes sense.
What a synonym. What a synonym.
People, not getting them fired up or hyping them up, right? Yeah, he's right. That would have given it away. I would have known it immediately at that point. But I put 2 and 2 together. I'm proud of myself. I'm also proud of you, Pa. So that was really fun for putting it on. Thank you so much. When he redid the Clay, he's back. I mean, I just get chills because that is one of my favorite moments as a Warrior fan was when Clay returned and Franco was talking about how he and his boss, who were in charge of kind of setting the run of show, if you will, for pregame, how he should introduce him, and they decided to do it last. And they decided to just say he's back as opposed to he's missed X amount of days and he's coming back from this ACL and this Achilles and yada, yada, yada. Just he's back.
And I'm giving you a warning, Grandy. That intro that he did for you, I will talk to our network coordinator, Cam Williams, for the Warriors, and I'm going to tell him that every post-game and maybe even pre-game, but post-game rejoins, that needs to be in the queue, and that needs to be played on a loop.
That is pretty cool. That is pretty cool to have my own intro from the Warriors hype man, Franco Finn. So, I would imagine you're probably going to play it for me when we come back from our next break, would be my guess as well. So I would not mind. I kind of want to hear it if I can be selfish for a second as well. So that was awesome. That was a lot of fun. Thanks to Franco Finn for taking some time out. I know he had an event coming up. He was sitting in his car waiting to go to the event. So we appreciate him taking some time out. And we will see Franco again when the Warriors return home. Coming up on Tuesday of this coming week when the Chicago Bulls are in town. No Steph in that game. Steph also out tonight in OKC, not playing Monday in Utah. But we'll see maybe as early as 6 days from now when Minnesota is in town. That's the earliest Steph could return. We shall see. We are expecting an update from the Warriors on Steph Curry coming up midweek next week. So early next week. I think on Wednesday, I guess that is midweek next week, we're going to expect an update from the Warriors on Steph Curry. And maybe it is one where he can return sooner as opposed to later. We shall see. The Warriors do have some good injury news today. It is that both Kristaps Porzingis and Seth Curry are questionable. They have both been out, Seth Curry for about 3 months and Kristaps Porzingis for a couple of weeks. Of course, Seth dealing with the left sciatic nerve irritation, and Kristaps, the Warriors have been calling a general illness. It does seem to be a little more mysterious than just a cold. He has missed a number of games or even just the flu. We'll see how Porzingis is feeling pregame. I would imagine something that Steve Kerr is going to talk about in his pregame availability before the game in OKC is he's going to warm up on the court, and we will see how he feels. Questionable for both Porzingis and for Seth Curry. Also, DeAnthony Melton and Will Richard are questionable as well. The Warriors have confirmed, obviously, no Steph and no Jimmy. Also, no Moses Moody for the Warriors in this one as well. All right. 888-957-9570. That's the number to call or to text. This is the Boxer and Gerson Work Injury Attorneys text line. If you want to join the conversation, those are the numbers to do so with. You can also join our YouTube chat, youtube.com/957thegame. We have some comments coming in on YouTube. Pete says, I dream about being the next Franco Finn at Chase. I could not do what Franco Finn does. I do not have the voice for that. You hear Franco and the way that he can manipulate his voice, and I cannot do that. I can talk on the radio almost by myself for a couple of hours. I can't motivate a crowd the way that Franco Finn does. So no, I do not. I do not think I could ever do what Franco Finn does. But if you want to join the conversation on YouTube, you can do that as well at youtube.com/957thegame. Coming up next, we're going to hear from Mike Dunleavy. Mike Dunleavy was on with Willard and Dibbs yesterday on 95.7 The Game and broke down a number of things as it relates to the Warriors. A couple of things that you're going to want to hear from Mike Dunleavy. He was asked to explain the thought process of the Kristaps Porzingis trade. He was asked how aggressive the Warriors will be this summer, given they still have a lot of flexibility with all their draft picks going forward. He was asked about how involved Steph is in terms of the decisions the front office made. Really interesting answer. You're going to want to hear what he had to say there. Plus, he did admit to maybe a mistake or a fault the organization made as it relates to the last 4.5 years of Jonathan Kuminga. You're going to want to hear that. Plus, One thing that's interesting is how Warrior fans treat Brandon Podziemski and how they treated Mike Dunleavy when he was a player with the Warriors. And the guys, I believe it was Dibbs that asked him, might have been Willard, we'll find out when we come back. They asked him, do you feel any kind of connection given how the fan base felt about you and how the fan base seems to feel about Podziemski? And you're not going to want to miss what Dunleavy had to say about that either. So a whole lot of good stuff coming up with Mike Dunleavy, GM of the Golden State Warriors. He was on with Willard and Dibbs yesterday. That is on the way. Plus, we got more time for your calls. A full hour left. 888-957-9570. And I want to, again, thank Franco Finn for taking the time out, the hype man of the Golden State Warriors, for joining us here on Warriors This Week. And again, kudos to Pasta Behind the Glass for setting this whole thing up. That was a lot of fun. All right, time for a break. Mike Dunleavy next as we continue on Warriors This Week right here on 95.7 The Game.
So, how's your research going?
Surprising. After I figured out the top-rated TVs in our price range, I went shopping for deals.
And who's the best?
It wasn't the internet, and it wasn't the Warehouse Club.
But?
It was video only. They had better deals on the Samsung, LG, and the Sony TVs that got the highest scores.
Better than online and at the club?
I know. Video only beat them all. And now we can afford an even better model for the same price. My research really paid off.
If we buy it video only.
Exactly. Otherwise, we'll be sorry.
At Video Only, you won't find huge stores with refrigerators or microwaves, but you will find the best deals on top-rated TVs, soundbars, and monitors. Shop around. Just make sure you visit Video Only, because if you don't,
you'll be sorry.
In Mountain View, San Mateo, Union City, Dublin, and San Rafael. Video Only.
Here it comes. At T-Mobile, get the new Samsung Galaxy S26 Ultra with Galaxy AI. Okay, we don't need the trumpets. We know it's awesome. You even get a 5-year price guarantee. And the best benefits in wireless. A kazoo? Pre-order and get the new Galaxy S26 Ultra. Really? Nothing? Did I mention at T-Mobile there's no trade-in needed? Better.
Guarantee excludes taxes and fees. Applies to monthly price of on-network talk, text, and 5G data on the Beyond plan. Benefits vary by plan. May require activation and are based on included perks. Exclusions and details at T-Mobile.com.
We've all been there. Sleepless nights, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters. At Bay Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can rest easy knowing we're here for you. BayAlarm.com.
Spring, summer, fall, and winter. The 4 seasons of life. What's the best one of them all? The 5th season, grilling season. Heartland Steakco has perfected grilling season no matter where you live. From their family favorites package that includes USDA choice ribeyes, strip steaks, and their famous ham balls, to their Grill Master package, which is loaded up with Iowa pork chops, premium steak burgers, and much more. Heartland Steakco brings that true Midwest flavor right to your table. Perfect for backyard barbecues, weeknight dinners, or sending gifts of great taste. They've got you covered. At Heartland Steakco, you're getting premium Midwestern meats, hand-cut, hand-picked, and delivered straight to your door. Ordering is easy at heartlandsteakco.com. And right now, when you spend $175 or more, you'll get 2 8-ounce USDA choice filet mignons with promo code FILET26. Go and get your 2 free 8-ounce filet mignons from heartlandsteakco.com. That's heartlandsteakco.com. Promo code FILET26. Taste the Heartland difference.
He's the best interview in the Bay Area.
He looked like Steph Curry always has, so he still got it. I mean, I think the biggest thing when you're 37 is maintaining the level over the course of 82 games.
And he joins Willard and Dibbs every week during the NBA season.
We have a blueprint that everybody's feeling confident with.
Steve Kerr is presented by Great Clips. In sports, success is about team effort, and the same is true for your hair. Great Clips. It's gonna be great.
Injured at work? Don't wait. Every day you delay can mean lost wages, delayed medical care, and more stress for your family. At Boxer & Gerson, we fight for people just like you. Construction workers, delivery drivers, factory workers, restaurant staff, hardworking folks who get hurt just trying to earn a living. We won't back down. We get results. You work hard, you deserve real help. Call Boxer & Gerson now at 510-835-8870 or visit boxerlaw.com. The consultation is free, but waiting could cost you. Boxer & Gerson. Justice for workers.
I can't believe how spotless my floors look after using the Swiffer Power Mop. No more dragging around a heavy mop and messy bucket. Now I get the same deep clean without all the work. Thanks to the powerful solution and scrubbing pad of the Swiffer Power Mop, dirt and grime don't stand a chance, and I don't break a sweat. Mic drop. I mean, mop drop.
Swiffer Power Mop. Swiffer Power Mop.
A smarter way to mop. Try it or your money back.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Discover a summer camp where kids run the show. At the California Historical Radio Society in Alameda, students in grades 6 to 10 learn from professionals to create real radio shows, podcasts, and dive into hands-on STEM electronic projects. Learn more at 957thegame.com.
I'm Piera Palazzolo, VP of Digital Marketing for the American Management Association, a company focused on the management training skills needed to enhance the careers of business professionals. We did our research when it came to the best companies for website development and chose AmericanEagle.com. And we couldn't be happier. AmericanEagle.com worked closely with us to understand the front and back end requirements needed to launch an e-commerce website that could handle the complexities of running thousands of seminars nationwide. Our robust new website and improved SEO saw immediate increases in site traffic and web revenue. If you're in need of managerial effectiveness and success, visit our website at Amanet.org. If you're in need of a website that provides an unparalleled consumer experience, I highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Transform your business today. Dial 877-WebNow1 for a free digital consultation with AmericanEagle.com.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM in HD1 San Francisco on Odyssey Sports Station. Always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch, and YouTube. Powered by First NorCal Credit Union.
It's go time from 95.7 The Game out of the University of Oregon. Make some noise for Mark Grandy.
Now back to Warriors This Week on 95.7 The Game.
Yeah, I would want to be in Grandy's spot right now.
Oh, that is awesome. That is awesome. Well done, Pasta. If you're just joining us, this is Warriors This Week here on 95.7 The Game. I'm Mark Grandy. You're probably used to hearing Evan Giddings and Dan Devone, both unavailable today. So I'm sitting in their chair along with Pasta. And Pasta came up to me earlier this week and said, Grandy, you and me on Saturday morning, I got a mystery guest for you. And I was like, all right, I'm in. He's going to come on at 10:30, and you're going to try to figure out on air who he is. And he surprised me a half hour ago with Franco Finn, the hype man for the Golden State Warriors. I think most Warrior fans probably know the name. Absolutely every Warrior fan knows the voice. And when you get him in that mode where he's introing somebody, there's few better out there in terms of getting people hyped up, getting them on their feet, getting them pumped for a game. So I feel very lucky to have my very own intro courtesy of Franco Finn. So thanks to Franco, thanks to Pasta, great work, Steve. You just know, like everybody in this market, all the important people. I don't know if there's anybody else on the station that would have been able to get Franco Finn on as quickly as you did.
Not everybody, but I have my ways. Yeah,
you got connections.
Yeah, I've been kind of more so on the baseball side, I would say, but I could surprise some people.
Yeah, good work. You did a great job. That was a lot of fun. Speaking of a lot of fun, I think we could talk about Mike Dunleavy's interview with Willard and Dibbs yesterday as that. A lot of interesting things from the Warriors general manager who, again, joined Willard and Dibbs yesterday. And I figured I want to react to a lot of the things that he had to say, so we might as well just play a big chunk of the interview. Mike Dunleavy on with Willard and Dibbs yesterday right here on 95.7 The Game. We talked about this a little bit early. A lot of the last month and a half, really 7 weeks, almost 2 months for the Warriors has just been gut punch after gut punch after gut punch with injuries, with trades that at least the early return hasn't worked out on. Everything else in between hasn't been great. And then on Thursday, the Warriors down Steph, down Jimmy, down Kristaps, down Moses, down GP2, down Will Richard, down Seth Curry, and they beat Kevin Durant and Alperen Şengün and the Rockets in overtime, 115-113. That had to feel good. And that's how Willard and Dibbs began their conversation with Mike Dunleavy, simply asking the Warriors general manager, Mike, what did that win feel like for everybody in the Warriors organization?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just a great display of the resolve our group has, right? I think it's been showcased over the last decade plus. And, we know this group, Steve, Draymond, Steph, those guys just have unbelievable resiliency. They set the tone, our culture, the whole thing. And so I think to be rewarded last night with a win, because frankly, the last few weeks, I mean, obviously we had a great win against Denver. We were very, very undermanned. But, we had some tough, like the Clippers, I thought we played pretty well. Just couldn't finish at the end. San Antonio before the All-Star break, a little bit of the same way. Like we played some really good games being undermanned, and you just can't figure out a way to find a positive result. And last night was the one we finally got through on, and I think guys felt great about it. We've had some great wins there in Houston last year in Game 7, Game 6 back in, I think that was 2019. Like there's been some pretty big Warrior wins there, so it felt like the good old days last night.
Yeah, and you mentioned resolve, and I'm also looking at, the roster, and it's Leons and Cryer and Williams and Santos and Post and Spencer. No disrespect, but when you have a roster of guys who are either second-round picks or undrafted, the expectations must go down, right?
Well, I don't know. Not when you have a locker room and you got Steph and Draymond in there. I mean, I mentioned Al Horford, too. Al's one of the greatest players in this league. True veteran. He's been around forever. He's won at the highest level. He kind of fits right into our fabric, right into our culture. He's another guy that just has pushed this group all year long, just to hang in there. We've had some tough breaks. Jimmy's injury, Steph going down, acquiring KP, and he hasn't been able to play that much yet. So these guys have hung in there at a level that's unbelievable, and the younger guys have sort of latched on. And the guys you mentioned, I think we had 6 guys last night that have been on 2-way contracts for us, and so those guys all contributed. And guys like Moses Moody and Guy Santos and Brandon Podziemski, guys that just have kind of picked up the ways of this organization, and they're trying to push it through.
Mike, I think we definitely want to continue to sit in the moment a little bit, but also do some big picture stuff with the opportunity to talk to you. And let's talk about Kristaps Porzingis for a minute. Can you kind of, and I know you've done this already, but I'd love it if you would take our listeners through the thought process of that trade. And then also, like, has it kind of gone the way you thought it would? Like, what was the evaluation of the health situation, and maybe how has that evolved since then?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thought process for us on the trade was the opportunity to get a player of his quality, who, when healthy, is pretty good, pretty unique, right? Like what he can do on the defensive end, what he can do on the offensive end. And then we had to calculate what we thought the ability and the chances of him, being healthy and playing a bunch for us. We felt pretty good about that. We still do. There's been a little bit of a hiccup. He played one game and he's been out, but I think his return is imminent. And so I think from a trade standpoint, to acquire that talent, obviously we're given, what we gave up is what we gave up. And, it's a young player that had, frankly asked to be moved. And so when you factor all that in, it's like we get a guy that, we think can help us now, possibly to bring him back in the future, complements our current group, and we're trading out a player that, didn't want to be here. That was kind of the thought process behind the trade. And so does it come with risk like all these things do? Absolutely. Last year we traded for Jimmy Butler, and I think a lot of people thought, what are you doing? This is a guy that hasn't played for Miami. He's holding everything up there. And so we took some risks there. But we believed in it, and it's worked out, and we kind of feel the same way about KP. So we'll see how it goes. These things can take some time, but we feel good about the contributions he can make now and moving forward.
And was part of the deal the flexibility and also the optionality? These are great GM buzzwords that you could create if KP is not actually going to be able to play a bunch. Was that part of the calculus for you guys?
I mean, a very little bit. We're always looking at that type of stuff, but frankly, with the Kuminga contract, it's very similar. So I wouldn't say that's a huge component of it. The huge component of it is just we're getting a player, we're getting a really good basketball player. And for us to help us win now and continue pushing through this season, that was really important.
Hey, Mike, I'd love to do like sort of salary cap and aprons for dummies for a second.
Nice.
Because this is like...
It's not very fun. It is not very fun.
I know, and we don't like... I think...
We don't get it.
Right, well, we're all on a trade machine, and I know that there's all kinds of things that we don't understand. So this is a hypothetical, obviously, but you get to the offseason, you'll decide whether or not you want to keep Kristaps Porzingis, what it would cost, et cetera, et cetera. But the bird rights and everything like that, if he were to just move on, that salary that you sent out in Jonathan and Buddy, the $30 million, is it as simple that, like, you get to go shopping now with that $30 million, or does it not work that way?
Yeah, it doesn't really work exactly that way, given where the rest of our contract and spending are. You know, if we had a ton of money, quote unquote, coming off the books, you could acquire cap space and then you could go spend elsewhere. That wouldn't be the case on this one particular salary slot. Does it provide for some other flexibility and some other things we can do that we'll plan and prepare for? Yeah, but it's not as simple as like $30 million out and then go find $30 million in. It's a little bit trickier than that, but in layman's terms, that's sort of the best explanation I can give.
So then, Mike, let me ask you this, and I know that you guys have repeatedly talked about, hey, we made our big move. We got Jimmy Butler, but with all things that you know now, Kristaps may or may not be a part of this, but what would you tell fans in terms of how aggressively you can chase upgrades this offseason?
Yeah, I mean, we can be as aggressive as we want to be. I think we're going to be able to be in the mix in all the deals and the players you may want to acquire. That's been the case for the last few years. I mean, we've got all of our draft picks. We've got good assets. Our books are clean. So we have the means to do all that. We've just got to be disciplined about it. And it's something I kind of mentioned the last few years, that you got to be very careful about these things. Everybody wants you to go out and make a big splash move, and you go back and look and analyze what teams have done over the last decade or so. You got to be very careful. There's some teams that have put themselves in a tough situation by kind of mortgaging the future, and what we've been able to do is improve the team by using very little draft capital, whether it's the deal to get Andre Iguodala's contract moved to eventually acquire Andrew Wiggins and get a championship in 22, or last year using one first-round pick to get a player like Jimmy Butler. Those are kind of the moneymaker deals that you want to be in the business for right now, especially with where we're at, in our time zone, time frame. So, we'll look at everything. We do look at everything, and we've been really close on some stuff. But ultimately, you got to be disciplined and do the right thing, and I think we'll continue to go down that path. And
part of the discipline will be this offseason where you could extend Steph into the future. Have you guys talked about what he might want to do and how long he might want to be here and what that number might be?
Yeah, I mean, we certainly envisioned Steph finishing his career here, no doubt about that. I'd say on all this stuff kind of coming this summer, it's in the back of our mind, but it's not top of mind. Right now, like we're focused on this 20-game stretch. How do we get into the playoffs? How do we get Steph back playing this season? Those are the type of conversations we're having. Really hard to get too far ahead of it into summer and who's making what. We'll be prepared, but right now those aren't really the discussions we're having.
Can you give people an idea of what conversations are like between you and Steph? Because this constantly comes up around here where I think all star players in the NBA, we assume that they are the assistant GM. Everything needs to be run by them. And at a player who's about to be 38 years old, the assumption is that he would talk to you a lot about the plan over whatever the remainder of his career is going to be. Is it actually like that? How would you describe that?
I say it's more keeping him in the loop. I mean, Steph is just not the type to come up to my office every day and say, what's the plan? Where are we going? It's just not who he is. He's so focused on our team and his own game and getting better every day and keeping this thing going that he just doesn't operate that way. We've got a great rapport, good relationship. I share a lot of stuff with him, but honestly, he doesn't want to be bothered with that stuff constantly. So when the time's right, we're always talking, we're figuring things out. I've got a great sense of kind of where he's at and always have a good sense of the pulse of the team from talking to him. But it is not a constant day in, day out, hey, what are we doing here? That's just not healthy, and that's honestly not how Steph operates.
Is that how Draymond operates? And I don't want to get into whether or not that he was dangled or offered, but it seems to us out here that Draymond is much more interested in that than just about anybody.
I think he's interested in it just from a salary cap, team building type of standpoint, like his just interest in the game. But obviously you always want to know kind of what's going on with you and your future. But both those guys, I really keep them in the loop. I haven't had a player so far that's really like that interested in banging down the door and what's going on and can we do this and sending me, I don't know what they do, maybe send you tweets of is this deal real? Should we do like those guys just don't do that. They're incredibly focused on their job. They've done an amazing job, and that's why they, have lasted so long. They worry about the things they can control, and they focus on the game, and let me focus on my job.
Mike Dunleavy Jr., the GM of the Warriors, is with us here on Willard and Dibs, 95.7 The Game. All right, Mike, I always chuckle a little bit on the inside when I hear people say everything for Steph. Cannot let Steph go. And then at the same time, they're like, man, the Warriors have let themselves get really old. And maybe they shouldn't have done that. What is your response to the idea that the Warriors are too old?
Well, yeah, I think compared to being young, you'd much rather have young. But when you're aging and you're getting older, but you're still really good, like you just can't bail on that. And Steph and Draymond are two of the key stakeholders in it, and they performed at a level. Draymond just turned 36. What he's doing defensively still is incredible. Obviously, Steph's performances speak for themselves. So those guys have just extended this thing by their own play, and that's kind of what we're rolling with. And so, yeah, we'd much rather be 21 years old with this 10-year window coming up. But, that's not – you can't just snap your fingers and have that, especially when you have two Hall of Famers like Steph and Dre who still have it. And we've gone all in with them in terms of spending, building a team around them, which is a major commitment, and then using, the appropriate assets to keep getting better. So I'm kind of fine with how things have gone. This is the way you should do it. And then there'll be a time where you kind of do look to get younger. But for now, we feel like we're following the path and we're keeping the music playing, and that's the right thing to do.
And with that in mind, are you then more willing to part with next year's or this year's rather draft pick in terms of maybe adding a player as opposed to, picks that are 2, 4, 6 years down the road?
Yeah, sure. I think as the way the league values it, yeah. Our draft picks way further out when they see a future without Steph and Draymond. Those picks are probably more valuable. So on our end, that's just kind of the sliding scale of what things will cost and what we'll have to give up. So we're willing to do whatever it takes, but if we're going to put that stuff out there, it's got to be well worth it.
Mike, in looking at the way things all sort of developed here at the end, at the trade deadline, and I'm mindful that you just said that, the player, Jonathan Kuminga, had requested a trade. He did not want to be here. But let's look at the entire sort of 5 years. You weren't always the GM, but you've been a part of this. Do you think organizationally you guys have any regrets with the way this all went down?
I don't really want to get too into it. I think the thing I would say is just with young players and player development and all that stuff, you want to put your best foot forward. I think we did that. And the key in all this I've learned is you have to have buy-in from the player and you have to have buy-in from the organization. There's buy-in on both ends. And that wasn't fully met if I'm looking back on it. And that's on both sides, right? You go down the road of who's to blame, who's not. These things don't always work out, though. This isn't the first draft pick the Warriors have made or the league has made where it just hasn't worked out and guys move on and do better in different situations. And that's just the NBA. I frankly experienced it myself. So that's the way it goes. We're moving on. He's moving on. It's all good. And, we feel good about the young players we have, the way they're growing and all that. And we'll continue down that path.
Interesting you brought up your own career because we were talking yesterday about Brandon Podziemski and how fans seem to be more down on him than they should be. And we thought about you, Mike, and I've been around long enough, and so is my partner, remembering when you were the number 3 pick and fans were more down on you than they probably should have been. When you look at Pods, does it remind you a little bit of yourself in terms of the echo chamber and the criticism?
Well, I wish I was as good as Pods my first few years. Let me put it like that. So I guess in that sense, it doesn't. He's been a tremendous player for us on both ends of the court. can shoot, pass, dribble, make really good decisions. He's a hell of a rebounder, defends really well. So, I wish I was that good. So I'm not sure what the complaints about him would be, but he's a tough, fiery competitor. We love having him. I mean, last night was a perfect example. That's a guy you want in Foxhole with you. He was tremendous, and we'll continue to work with him and allow him to grow. But we're really happy with him as a player, and thankful to draft him at 19 a few years ago, and he's grown real nicely. And no, I guess the parallels probably aren't that great because I wasn't good enough at that point in my career. It took me a little bit of time to become a good player, and Brandon's been good from the get-go.
Mike, Steve was on a couple of days ago talking about the entire organizational developmental process and that some adjustments maybe were made a few years ago. And to build off your answer there about pods and also let's look at Moses Moody and Guy Santos, who you guys just signed to an extension. How are you guys feeling about your young player developmental process right now?
Yeah, we did look at some stuff and evaluate it, I think, in a really good way a few years ago. Of course, when you're rolling through the finals every year, 6 NBA finals, you're playing late into June, and then a week later you have summer league. Like, they're just player development gets put on the wayside because you got all these good veteran players. You pick late, in the draft every year. And then all of a sudden you realize, shoot, we need these young players to grow and play and be good, not only because of your future, but also because the other veteran players are making a lot of money. And so for the salary cap stuff to work and all, you need to have good, cheap labor. And so we revamped the process. I feel really good about it. A lot of that is day in and day out work, but a lot of it is the way we use Santa Cruz as a proving ground for our young players. I talked about before, we had 6 guys that are on 2-way contracts playing last night at one point or another in our organization. So it's a full remodel on the development and the drafting process and all that. And for the large part, I think it's gone quite well. We feel good about it. And we feel good about the trajectory these guys are on.
So how do you bridge that between now and maybe the end of next year where you've got, maybe a drafted player and more young guys? How do you still try to maximize the Steph Curry window while also, nurturing and developing Will and Guy and Quentin and the rest?
Yeah, I think you just keep making good, sound, solid decisions, whether that's in free agency, that's a draft, that's trades. Every decision you make is important, whether it's the back of the roster or some big major move. We see all those as really, really important. A guy like Guy Santos, who's picked in the 50s, what he's doing and contributing to our team right now, who would have guessed that last year, much less 3 years ago? So I think the way we look at it is just good, sound, solid decisions. Keep hitting singles, doubles, mix in a home run or two, and you're going to be good for a long time. And that's sort of the thought process we're taking.
All right, that was Mike Dunleavy yesterday with Willard and Dibbs. Really good interview with the guys, and we appreciate Mike Dunleavy taking some time out. He was in Houston, I believe, on Thursday watching that Warrior game, flew back to the Bay yesterday, then hopped on with Willard and Dibbs, and I believe he was headed down to the tank after to watch the Sharks take on St. Louis. Sharks lost last night in overtime. They got a point, but they lost in overtime. So not the end of the world. They got at least a point, but Sharks looking for the playoffs could have gotten a win and gotten a couple of points. But anyways, that's besides the point. Good conversation with Mike Dunleavy on Willard and Dibbs. Had a number of interesting things. I think, first of all, one of the first things, thank you, Guru. One of the first things that he said that kind of perked my ears up was the thought process of the Porzingis trade, and not only how they felt that Porzingis was going to be available to play a lot, but that they still feel that way, given the way that it has gone so far. I don't think there's a ton of Warrior fans out there that would share that opinion currently. Now, Mike Dunleavy, of course, as the general manager of the team, is not going to openly say, we just don't think he's going to be healthy going forward. He's a Warrior. He's under contract, even if it is just for the final 20 games of the regular season and nothing more beyond that. He's got to protect his guys, so he's not going to throw anybody under the bus. So take some of what he says, of course, with a grain of salt, but I thought that was interesting. I also think it's interesting that when he was asked how aggressive the Warriors will be in the summer, his answer was, as aggressive as we want to be. And for me personally, and I think for a lot of Warrior fans, and again, welcome back. This is Warriors This Week. Mark Randy with you on 95.7 The Game. for a lot of Warrior fans out there, and I certainly share this sentiment, the Warriors for a long time, and I mean, going back 3 years now, have promised the potential of a big move. And they've preached patience. If it doesn't work now, well, you know what? We're not going to rush into something that we don't want to do. We're going to preserve our optionality. We're going to preserve our flexibility. And then that means, in the summer, we will be available to pounce and make a big move. And then something doesn't happen in the summer. And they say, well, we have the optionality to do something at the trade deadline. And then something big doesn't happen at the trade deadline. And they say, well, we have the optionality to do it in the summer. And that has kind of just been the cycle over and over and over. I know that he brought up Jimmy Butler and that move last trade deadline. And look, I give them all the credit in the world for doing that. It turned last season around. If it wasn't for a Steph injury, maybe they go to the Western Conference Finals, and not going to bet on them to beat OKC, but you never know what might happen. But that was one first-round draft pick and then a handful of players led by Andrew Wiggins that kind of felt like you were on at best in terms of their future with the Warriors. So that wasn't a gigantic swing. The promise of a gigantic swing being on the horizon has kind of just always been the status for the Warriors. And for fans, I think it's fair to be frustrated by that because we have just always been considered. We've always been promised the possibility of something big happening, but that possibility has never paid off for a number of different reasons. Maybe because the Bucks actually weren't willing to play ball this offseason. Maybe because the Clippers with Paul George, a couple of off seasons ago weren't willing to play ball, and that ultimately probably aided the Warriors. Maybe it's because the Utah Jazz, led by Danny Ainge, were asking for so much for Lauri Markkanen and that never made sense. But maybe it's because the Warriors tried to acquire Pascal Siakam from the Raptors a few trade deadlines ago, and they didn't want to give up on Kuminga or Podziemski or whoever it was. For whatever reason, it hasn't happened. And the promise of a big move has kind of always just been pushed down to the near future. And that's kind of what that answer from Mike Dunleavy felt like. Again, that's how I interpreted it, at least as a Warrior fan. A lot more to break down. I'll play that answer for you again, and we'll continue talking about that. Plus, I want to hear more of what he said and react to more specifically what he said about Podziemski and himself as well. We'll get to that when we come back. 30 more minutes left with you. If you want to weigh in, 888-957-9570. More Warriors this week. Mark Randy with you, along with Steven Risotto, a.k.a. Pasta, back with more next on 95.7 The Game.
Aftershock, the West Coast's largest rock, metal, and punk festival, returns to Sacramento this October with My Chemical Romance. When you got me what you want to know, we'll carry you. Tool. Limp Bizkit. Pierce the Veil. Plus, Suicide Boys, Queens of the Stone Age, The Offspring, A Day to Remember, Wu-Tang Clan, Sublime, Danny Elfman, Baby Metal, Public Enemy, Circa Survive, and so many more. 4 days, 135 plus bands, 5 stages. Aftershock takes over Discovery Park October 1st through 4th. My Chemical Romance, Tool, Limp Bizkit, Pierce the Veil. All 4-day, single-day, and premium passes are on sale now, starting at only $1 down. Get yours at AftershockFestival.com.
Tune in for Warriors Live today, presented by Xfinity, your home court advantage. Brought to you by Xfinity. Watch all your favorite teams all in one place. Xfinity, imagine that.
Today,
Driver, start your engine!
the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series screams into action only on the CW.
Let's go!
It's pure raw racing where chaos strikes without warning.
Oh! Big crash!
And where nothing is promised, not even next week.
We don't have a lot of chances to win. That's what's frustrating.
The NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series.
From Phoenix today at 3:30 p.m. on KRON 4, the CW.
Express yourself with personalized cafe appliances at Friedman's Appliance in Pleasant Hill. You can select custom hardware in 4 finishes that let you uniquely accessorize your kitchen. Experience GE Cafe innovation with 6-burner Pro ranges, hot water dispensing refrigerators, and smart induction ranges. Plus, for a limited time, receive up to a $3,000 rebate with the purchase of select suite combinations. Uniquely style your kitchen at Friedman's Appliance in Pleasant Hill or at friedmansappliance.com.
All right, I need avocados, bananas, salad, steak.
Wow, does your grocery list have multiple pages?
No, but I skipped lunch, so now it's like my stomach is doing the grocery shopping. And besides, I'm earning cash back with Upside.
Upside? What's that?
Hold up, you haven't heard of it? Upside is a free app that gets you cash back when you shop at gas stations, grocery stores, and restaurants. And they added Lucky and Food Max stores, so we're pretty much covered wherever we go.
All those stores?
Yep, so not only are we getting a great deal on groceries, now we can earn cash back as well.
Okay, downloading Upside. Now let me copy your grocery list.
Great news! Lucky and Food Max are now on Upside. Download the Upside app and use the promo code SAVE9 to earn a 10% cashback bonus on your first grocery purchase. That's promo code SAVE9 for a 10% cashback bonus. Use promo code SAVE9.
Offers vary by user and location at participating merchants. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions.
AFC fans, the wait is finally over. The 2026 season kicks off Saturday, March 14th at PayPal Park at 3:30 p.m. against NWSL newcomers, Denver Summit FC. A new era begins with head coach Emma Coates leading the charge and electric new signings ready to make their mark. Plus, new supporter groups are bringing even more energy and atmosphere to match day. Be there, be loud, bring the hype. Flexible ticket options are available now at bayfc.com. Don't miss out.
That pallet of pavers collecting dust, the beginnings of a garden, those stray fence posts. Are you haunted by half-finished projects on your land? John Deere is here to say, not anymore. Our compact tractors allow you to swap implements easily, and they're backed by the nation's largest dealer network. You always had the right idea, and with the right tools, those projects can get finished for good. Nothing runs like a Deere. Learn more at johndeere.com/compact tractors.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 877 Cars for Kids to speak to a friendly live agent. Donation is super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Go to carsforkids.org now or call 877 Cars for Kids to donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Go to carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K.
Happy Lunar New Year! Are you looking for a fun, festive, free event for friends and family of all ages? The Chinese Historical and Cultural Project and History Park San Jose invites you to the Lunar New Year of the Fire Horse Festival on Saturday, March 14th, 2026 from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. at History Park San Jose. Watch lion and dragon dances, as well as other cultural dances and musicians, martial arts demonstrations, and a master calligrapher at work while kids of all ages enjoy fun cultural activities and games with prizes. Visit chcp.org for more details.
Check engine or ABS light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
How do airplanes fly? What's in this box? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Learn how to store your gun securely and make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Join 95.7 The Game in celebrating Women's History Month at Women's Heritage Day, March 7th at History Park in San Jose. Don't miss this free family-friendly event. Brought to you by History San Jose, Mosaic America, and Chicana Alianza for Liberatory Engagement. For more info, visit 957thegame.com.
It's go time from 95.7 The Game out of the University of Oregon. Make some noise for Mark Grandy.
Now back to Warriors This Week on 95.7 The Game.
Hey.
Thanks for that, Pasta. It's Warriors this week. Mark Randy in. No Evan Giddings, no Dan Devone. Today I'm sitting in for him alongside the great Pasta, Steven Risotto with us here on this Saturday. Pasta's having himself a day. He's also having himself like a hell of a couple of weeks, filling in on the mornings for Carter Chickering, who, if you missed it, was on the YouTube chat earlier today. Shout out to the Chickerings, by the way, for welcoming their baby girl just a couple of weeks ago. And kudos to Pasta for holding down the fort in the mornings as well. How you doing, Steve? You doing good?
I'm hanging in there. No, I'm doing great. It's been great. Mornings have been great. Congrats to the Chickerings. Hopefully all is great. Hopefully they're getting some sleep and some rest.
Yeah, based on what Carter said in the YouTube chat, maybe not so much sleep, but I guess that's normal for the first number of weeks.
I wonder if there's months. I wonder if there's a chance that he got more sleep now rather than doing the morning show.
Yeah, because you've done it now for a bit. I've done it for like a week at a time. Your alarm goes off like at 3:45?
3:45, yep, in Pacifica, and I get here about 5, and it all works out.
It's very difficult to do that over the course of an extended period of time. So
today was interesting because I woke up and it was light outside. I was like, where am I? What's going on?
Yeah, meanwhile, I had to like actually set my alarm earlier than usual because I work on our afternoon shift, which means I don't have to get here until 11, which means, I could sleep till 9:30 if I really wanted to. I don't normally do that. Yeah, sorry, it probably doesn't make you feel very good about yourself considering when you have to wake up. But anyway, shout out to the Chickerings. Hope everything's going good, Carter, and kudos to Pasta for holding down the fort, not just today like he normally does, but also in the mornings throughout the week, filling in for Carter. Let's continue to react to what Mike Dunleavy told the Warriors, or told Willard and Dibbs about the Warriors yesterday here on 95.7 The Game. First of all, I was reacting to this before we went to break. Willard and Dibbs, I believe this one was Dibbs, asked Mike Dunleavy about the potential for a big move in the offseason over the summer, considering what happened at the deadline. They kept all their first-round picks, and they have a lot of optionality, is kind of a buzzword that Mike Dunleavy and past Warrior GMs like Bob Myers have used. So Dibbs asked Mike Dunleavy, Warriors GM, yesterday, Mike, how aggressive will you guys be over the summer? Here's how Mike answered.
We can be as aggressive as we want to be. I think we're going to be able to be in the mix in all the deals and the players you may want to acquire. That's been the case for the last few years. We've got all of our draft picks. We've got good assets. Our books are clean, so we have the means to do all that. We've just got to be disciplined about it. It's something I kind of mentioned the last few years that you got to be very careful about these things. Everybody wants you to go out and make a big splash move, and you go back and look and analyze what teams have done over the last decade or so. You got to be very careful. There's some teams that have got to put themselves in a tough situation by kind of mortgaging the future. And what we've been able to do is improve the team by using very little draft capital, whether it's the deal to get Andre Iguodala's contract moved to eventually acquire Andrew Wiggins and get a championship in 22, or last year using one first-round pick to get a player like Jimmy Butler. Those are kind of the moneymaker deals that you want to be in the business for right now, especially with where we're at, in our time zone, time frame. So we'll look at everything. We do look at everything, and we've been really close on some stuff. But ultimately, you got to be disciplined and do the right thing, and I think we'll continue to go down that path.
All right, that's Warriors GM Mike Dunleavy with Willard and Dibbs yesterday. There's a lot there. First of all, I think he's right. You do not make a big swing and trade like 3 or 4 first-round picks for the hell of it. You have to think that it is worth it, and the move makes sense, and that it is worth giving up a lot of future assets to do it. You don't just do it for the sake of doing it. You don't just do it because the fan base is ripping their hair out and begging and pleading for something to get done. It has to be the right move. I get that. I fully understand it. However, I feel like for the Warriors, over the course of the last 3 years, the Warriors have let a number of opportunities pass them by, good opportunities in my opinion, while waiting for the perfect opportunity. And to this point, the perfect opportunity has never presented itself to them. They thought maybe the Giannis opportunity this offseason or this trade deadline was going to be the perfect opportunity. It turned out it didn't really seem like Milwaukee was willing to play ball. Now, maybe they're willing to play ball this offseason, and maybe that becomes the perfect opportunity for the Warriors. But waiting for the perfect opportunity, and as a result, holding on to as many assets as they possibly could. So when the perfect opportunity arises, they are well positioned to take advantage and to strike. I think it has cost them because they have said no to good for the promise of great. And what happens if the promise of great never arises? I mentioned Pascal Siakam. The Indiana Pacers acquired Pascal Siakam at the trade deadline a couple of years ago, and they used that along with Tyrese Halliburton becoming an all-NBA type of player to go all the way to the NBA Finals and pushing a historically good OKC team to 7 games. And who knows what happens if Halliburton does not tear his Achilles in Game 7. Who knows how that plays out? A similar situation with OG Anunoby, also on the same Toronto team that Pascal Siakam was on. The New York Knicks acquired OG Anunoby, and while they haven't gotten all the way to the finals, they've gotten, pretty deep in the Eastern Conference playoffs, specifically last year, and OG Anunoby a big part of that. Now, the business the Knicks have done, I don't think that's like something that you'd want to copy if you are an opposing GM. The number of draft picks they gave up to acquire Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby and all the other kind of big moves that they've made, the Cat move, Karl-Anthony Towns move, maybe not the most successful move, although they are a quality team and they're probably one of the 4 favorites to come out of the East this year. And if things break their way, who knows? They might be able to get it done, but I'd pick Detroit before them. I'd probably pick Boston now before them, especially now that Boston has Jason Tatum back. Cleveland with James Harden, you never know. He's dealing with a fracture in his hand. We'll see how he plays going forward down the stretch. Point is, I feel like the Warriors have been waiting for something perfect. The superstar to pair alongside Steph, and in the process of waiting for that superstar, they have said no to a number of stars. And again, maybe the Markkanen conversation wasn't ever really all that real because the Jazz were asking for a superstar's ransom for a really good player in Markkanen, and that never worked. That's fine. Like, I understand that there's a lot more details to these conversations that I'm sure I'm leaving out, but it feels like the Warriors have consistently been uneager to pull the trigger on a move that I think would improve them, that I think would help Stephen Curry out, in order to wait for the right move. And while waiting for the right move, they're encouraged to hold on to all of their assets because the right move that they think is worth making is for a superstar like a Giannis when he asks out, like a KD at last year's trade deadline potentially, when it felt like the Warriors had an offer done, but KD apparently didn't want to come back to the Warriors. There's so many moving parts here, and there's so much that is outside of your control. I feel like the Warriors have bypassed good in the promise of great. And the other part of this is, as time passes by, the benefit of making a big move like a Kevin Durant last year or like a Giannis this year or whatever the case is, a LeBron right in the offseason, which Mark Spears said yesterday. He said this, by the way, about a potential LeBron James move this offseason.
I thought he's always been a possibility. With his relationship with Steph, with his relationship with Draymond, I can't see him in a Lakers uniform next year if I was a betting man. And look, I haven't talked to him, so let's not act like I'm just playing, GM, fantasy GM Mark Spears, right? But if I was, based on what the streets are saying, based on what I'm hearing, like if he does return, Cleveland would be number 1 and Golden State would be considered.
He said there, if he were to return, I believe he meant if he were to leave L.A., he would think Cleveland would be number 1 on his list and the Warriors would be considered. Like, these are the kinds of moves that reports are the Warriors are still interested in. The other half of this is not just, is it even going to happen? And if it doesn't happen, are you left at the altar holding all your assets and wondering what to do with them now? The other half of it is, if you finally pull off a move like a Giannis or like a LeBron now, one, maybe you think LeBron is too old and not good enough to really make a big difference anymore, and that's a fair opinion to have. Giannis, not so much, considering he's still got a number of really good years left, assuming that he's relatively healthy. The issue that I have is I think the moment has passed for swinging on a big move like that to be worth it. In order for you to acquire Giannis, for example, you're trading away 4 first-round picks in all likelihood and the money to make it equal. And you're pairing Giannis with what you have left of Steph Curry, which is next season, the next year beyond that, and is that it? Do we know how long Steph wants to play for? Is it just 2 more years of Steph Curry? Is it worth it to trade away 4 first-round picks for just 2 years of Giannis and Steph? In my mind, the time to make a move was a couple of years ago, to where you still had 3, 4, maybe 5 years left of Steph, and you could pair someone like a Pascal Siakam or a Lauri Markkanen alongside Steph for multiple good years of Steph's career. In my opinion, maybe the moment hasn't passed entirely, because Giannis coming in, of course, would make this Warrior team a whole lot better, would probably make them better even post-Steph as well, because you would theoretically have Giannis as kind of your flag bearer for your franchise. But the benefit of bringing a player like that in diminishes with every passing month, because with every passing month, Steph's viability as the leader of the franchise diminishes. And it's nothing against Steph. He's incredible, but he's about to be 38 in a week. So the benefit was, when he was 35, acquire a player like a Pascal Siakam and pair 5 years of Steph with 5 years of Pascal Siakam, instead of acquiring a Giannis now or a LeBron now and pairing those players with maybe 2 years of Steph. And how healthy is Steph during those 2 years? So the whole, we have flexibility and we're going to be as aggressive as we want to be. Like, I get it. I would rather have the draft picks now than not, of course. But it just feels like there's been this continual path of, well, we have the ability to make a move, but we didn't make a move. But we still have the ability to make a move, but we didn't make a move. And that just happens from every trade deadline to every summer to every next trade deadline and every summer. And it's been on and on and on and on for the last number of years. So we'll see what happens this summer. The Warriors do have the ability to make a big move with all their picks. But at this point, I'm leaning towards, you've kept the picks this long, you might be getting to a point where maybe it's best to just keep the picks anyway, because you've held on to them for this long. And the point, the benefit of you moving on from them now feels like is diminished, because who knows how much longer Steph is going to be a viable star alongside somebody else to help you win. Anyway, one of the other things that Mike Dunleavy was asked, and I thought it was a really good question by Willard and Dibbs, and I might have had a little help with game planning for these questions. Anyway, it was the relationship, thank you, the relationship that Brandon Podziemski has with Warrior fans is an interesting one. Podziemski largely has outperformed where he was drafted. He's largely been a positive player. But the fan base tends to have a really, really hard time wrapping their arms around him. And I think the reasons are various. One of them is because of the way that he's talked about his future and how good he wants to be, and how he wants to be the guy that Steph and Draymond and Steve hand the keys off to once they're all done, and how he wants to be as good, if not better than Steph. That's like a goal of his. And that kind of turns people off a little bit. Some of it also is the way that Steve Kerr trusts him and maybe hasn't trusted other players like a Jonathan Kuminga, and that's all fair. The point is, at best, it feels like a rocky relationship between Warrior fans and Podziemski. That is not all that dissimilar from what Mike Dunleavy went through as a Golden State Warrior. He was drafted back in 2002 as the number 3 overall pick and didn't quite live up to that hype, specifically with the Warriors. Had a very long NBA career, and no one is going to say had a bad NBA career, but the Warriors did not get the return on that draft pick that they, I would imagine, were hoping for. And as a result, Warrior fans kind of had a rocky, at best, relationship with Mike Dunleavy, the player. So Willard and Dibbs asked Mike Dunleavy, do you feel any kind of connection with Podziemski, given how Warrior fans felt about you and how a lot of Warrior fans seem to feel about Podziemski? Here's how Dunleavy answered that.
I wish I was as good as Pods. my first few years. Let me put it like that. So I guess in that sense, it doesn't. He's been a tremendous player for us on both ends of the court. Can shoot, pass, dribble, make really good decisions. He's a hell of a rebounder, defends really well. So, yeah, I wish I was that good. So I'm not sure what the complaints about him would be, but, he's a tough, fiery competitor. We love having him. I mean, last night was a perfect example. That's a guy you want in Foxhole with you. He was tremendous, and we'll continue to work with him and allow him to grow. But we're really happy with him as a player, and, thankful to be able to draft him at 19 a few years ago, and he's grown real nicely. And, no, I guess the parallels probably aren't that great because I just, I wasn't good enough at that point in my career. It took me a little bit of time to become a good player, and Brandon's been good from the get-go.
So one of the first words, the first phrase out of Mike Dunleavy's mouth when asked, again, do you feel any kind of connection between you and Pods, the way that Warrior fans treat the both of you or feel about the both of you? And he said, I wish I was as good as Pods, which is, it's a very complimentary thing for Mike Dunleavy to say because, not like an all-star player, but a very good basketball player. And he says that Pods, at least at this stage of their respective careers, was, a whole lot better than Podziemski. I got this message that came in from the YouTube chat, youtube.com/957 the game. I said that I thought Pods has outperformed his draft position. And KKS on the YouTube chat, youtube.com/957 the game, says Pods has been performing exactly where he was drafted. That's why he can't deliver consistently. You think he's performed as a 19th overall pick? Brandon Podziemski has been as good as the average number 19 pick. Is that what you're telling me? Let's just take a look at that draft, all right? And you tell me who has had a better NBA career to this point. Victor Wembanyama, yes, of course he has. He very well could be the MVP this year. He's been amazing, and the Spurs are blowing past their win total, and most notably because of Victor Wembanyama. Okay, fair enough. Brandon Miller, the Charlotte Hornets, kind of been a high-volume scorer on a really bad team until recently. The Hornets are on fire right now, and they're a team that I might not want to face in the Eastern Conference playoffs. I would say Brandon Miller's had a better NBA career than Podziemski. He was the number 2 overall pick. The third is Scoot Henderson. Scoot Henderson, the 3rd overall pick by the Portland Trailblazers, hasn't been healthy yet this season. And has had a up and down career so far. Maybe you say the potential of Scoot makes you want to take Pods, but through the first 3 years of their careers, Brandon Podziemski's had a better NBA career than Scoot Henderson. Amen Thompson and Ausar Thompson go back-to-back 4 and 5. I think they've both had better NBA careers so far than Podziemski. The 6th overall pick was Anthony Black of the Magic. Not a bad player by any stretch, but you could make a case that Podziemski's had a better career so far. Last year he averaged 9 points per game. Not a bad player. I wouldn't be offended either way based on where you fall. But then you get to parts where it's, okay, Podziemski's clearly far and away better than all these guys. Bilal Coulibaly, 7th overall. Jarris Walker, 8th overall. Taylor Hendricks, 9th overall. Cason Wallace, number 10, ultimately traded to OKC. He's a hell of a player, and while he hasn't maybe had the ability or the opportunity as much as Podziemski's had, he's a really, really good player for OKC. 11th overall, Jet Howard. 12th overall, Derek Lively II. When healthy has been really good, but hasn't been able to stay healthy for the Mavericks. 13th overall, Grady Dick. I read something today out of Toronto where Grady Dick is playing, trying to explain how bad he's been in his 3rd season in the league. Jordan Hawkins, 14th overall to the Pelicans. Kobe Buffkin, 15th overall. Keontae George, 16th. He's exploded this season. He is a hell of a player. But then 17 is Jalen Hood-Schifino. 18th is Jaime Jaquez Jr. from Miami, who's been really good. The point is, when you are grading Podziemski, it feels like we grade him on a scale where he was expected to be a top 10 kind of pick. And he was a 19th overall pick. He has far and away outperformed the draft position. If you were to do a redraft of the 2023 NBA draft, Podziemski's in the top 10. He is absolutely in the top 10. And again, that doesn't mean that he's a superstar or this franchise flag bearer for the franchise for the post-Steph era. But I do think he gets judged in a little bit of an unfair way. And part of the issue is when you're down Jimmy and you're down Steph, as the Warriors are right now, you're asking your entire roster, Podziemski included, to fill a role that they're not capable of filling, at least not in this moment, and maybe they'll never be capable of filling that role. But when Steph comes back, and maybe they get Porzingis back today, everyone slides down a peg, and that's what fixed last season, was the Warriors were at a spot where a lot of last year's roster was being asked to play up a role, up a level. Instead of being, the third guy last year, Andrew Wiggins was being asked to be the second guy. And then the trade happened, and Jimmy Butler slid into the second role behind Steph, and everybody else got bumped down a peg, and everybody suddenly fit into their role. What's happening right now without Steph and without Jimmy and without Porzingis is everybody is not just being bumped up a role, they're being bumped up like 2 or 3 roles. Now Melton is being asked to be a number 1, and Podziemski's being asked to be a number 2, and Moody's being asked to be a number 2 or number 3, but Moody is out now as well. So now you got somebody like a Pat Spencer who's being asked to play major minutes, and everybody's being asked to just jump up a couple of spots in the pecking order, and that's not what this group is capable of doing right now. So when we judge these players, I think we have to be fair about what is being asked of them. Now, we can be honest with ourselves and say Podziemski's not capable of being a number 1 or a number 2, at least not right now. Now, he's been pretty darn good of late, but the better role for him, which would more realistically be his role if this team was healthy, is come off the bench and be the 6th or 7th man. And I think that's a role that he can succeed at and excel at, but he's being asked to do a whole lot more than that. And frankly, lately he has answered the bell, but we know that it has come and gone and has been inconsistent at times. But I think we need to keep that in mind when we talk about Podziemski and some of these other players in the Warriors right now. We, of course, want them to be great and want them to all be able to be all-stars, but they are being asked to play out of role right now just because of the nature of who's available and who isn't. But that's the reality of being an NBA player as well. One of the other comments on the YouTube chat, and KKS, who I pointed out earlier, seems very angry at me. I appreciate the comments. Keep them coming, and we're about to wrap things up. You mentioned Guy Santos. Now, I'm not giving Guy Santos credit. I mean, Guy has also amazingly outperformed his draft status. Absolutely has. So has a lot of Warriors. So has Will Richard already. So has Quentin Post already. And you know who gets credit for that, by the way? The individual players do, but so does Mike Dunleavy and the Warriors front office for drafting these guys in the first place. It's not just that they lucked into these guys. This seems to be kind of a trend. The Warriors are getting better value for a lot of these second round or late first round draft picks. Now, they missed on Wiseman, they missed on Kuminga, and Moody is, I think, returned fair value. But lately, with some of these later round picks, they've done a better job at that. All right, that's going to do it for Warriors this week here on 95.7 The Game. Thank you so much for tuning in. Shout out to all you guys for contributing to the conversation as well. And a big thanks to Steven Risotto, a.k.a. Pasta Behind the Glass. And also a thanks to Franco Finn, hype man for the Dubs, for joining us here on Warriors this week on 95.7 The Game. My name is Mark Randy signing off. We do have Warriors basketball at 5:30, which means Warriors Live with me. I'll be back for that. Begins at 4:30 ahead of Dubs versus Thunder. Yes, I'm excited as well, Steiny. That's coming up in about 4.5 hours. Tip-off in 5.5 hours. All of that right here on 95.7 The Game. But Fox Sports Radio coming up until then. For now, I'm Mark Randy signing off. Thanks so much for tuning in. Warriors basketball comes your way at 4:30 right here on 95.7 The Game.
So what are you reading?
I'm checking out the ratings on the new TVs, and it looks like Samsung, LG, and Sony got the best scores.
Just like last year.